Hello, everyone, and welcome.
Welcome. Yes.
Today is part 2 of our Jodi Arias trial stream. And David, you are not in your office.
I am not. I am sitting on the porch, lakeside. Oh, you can't really see the lake, but I am enjoying my holiday up here, and and looking forward to some Jodi Arias.
Yeah, and Tuesday we watched the states opening, and it's time for us today. Oh, sorry. To listen to what the defense has to say in their opening statement. And I repeat, I have never watched this trial. I do know vaguely the result of it, and I've seen a few pictures when it was around about 10 years ago. But anything in this is absolutely new to me.
Yeah, I'm not even sure what the defense was, other than the "I didn't do it" defense, which didn't seem to work for her. But I have no idea what the defense is actually, like the details of the defense, like if I didn't do it, who did it, kind of thing. So I'm coming at this fresh and new, although I hear it gets interesting.
Yeah. And
someone had asked about a current picture of Jodi Arias, so we have some context. I did share that with you if you want to show it.
Yeah.
This is from Feral Housewife. It found this, and this is most recent. It might be a year or so old, but I believe this is around age 43. This is a pretty current picture of her.
And I must say that she's not that worn down after a decade in prison. I've seen.
No, she's not. She looks pretty decent for being in prison for a decade. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there she is today. And well, at some point during this trial, we will see more than enough of her, all of her. I'm being told. And
I was telling I think Jung yesterday that putting that clip together, the promo video and stuff, I am filled with parts of Jodi Arias. My computer is filled with it. Everywhere I turn, I have parts of Jodi Arias on my computer.
Yeah, so, and your Google search is also interesting, I assume.
Yes, it very much is. Let my wife know ahead of time what I was doing.
Yeah, her walking into while you are watching for Jodi Arias hoo-ha. No. Yeah, and for those of you who are absolutely new, hi, I'm Nick, or Niklas, but call me Nick online, and I'm in Sweden, and I do labor law. I specialize in negotiations and individual workers' rights. So that's my background and how I see things how I will see things in this trial is purely evidential evaluation and snark. Because if you've been around workers for most of your life, you tend to have language for it, and I intend to use it.
No problem. Yes, and if you guys don't know me, I am David Helm from MLS Law Show. I am in Michigan. I am a licensed practicing attorney in America, and been watching these for. I'm a litigator. That's how I identify myself. And as a litigator, I love the courtroom, and I watched a lot of these trials for an examination of the presentation, evidentiary issues, due process issues, and things like that. But then also the drama behind it is usually fairly amazing, and I hear this one is also amazing. So I'm excited to watch all the way through it.
Yeah, and we will be streaming this every Tuesday and Saturdays, 6 p.m. Swedish time, noon Michigan time, which is East Coast
Eastern
time?
Standard Time. Yep, Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah. And for the rest of the United States, uh, I'm not sure. Around that time.
I think an hour for each time zone you go west.
Okay. Yeah. So welcome to daytime TV.
Yes, exactly. Well, for your holiday Saturday viewing pleasure.
Yeah. And okay, so last we left off at when after the state presented the case, and
Which I'm going to make a
first,
comment on that. That the prosecutor made a good arguments once he got to the murder. Not arguments, good statements. He kind of told a narrative, but before that, it was really fast and really hard to follow. And I know the general story, and I was able to pick up on some stuff. But if I'm coming at it cold, I was completely lost for like the first half of his opening statement.
Yeah, I agree. And for me, who haven't heard much about it at all, the only thing that caught my eye was the diagram, which was unfortunate because it looked like male anatomy, and
Yes,
so
it
that
did.
was interesting. And because apparently that will also be a part of the trial.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will.
Yeah, and I see our regulars are already here, and a few others, and we are not having a competition, and a bit of grifting. I prefer if people become members of my channel because it's $3 a month, and you get perks and videos only for members, and Mo, you have 6 kids. Did you giggle? I'm sorry, Mo. Where was I? Yeah. So I don't mind super chats, but I prefer if. Speak of the devil. Thank you so much, Wendy, for your $10 super chat. And yes, hit that like button. That is what promotes this stream to the rest of the YouTube population. The more the likes, the more YouTube picks up on it. And it's not a competition, but I got the first super chat.
Well, we got the first one last time too, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're seeing a trend here.
And yeah, but what do you say if you want to grift a bit while we are at it?
Yeah, so if you guys feel like contributing, that would be great. If you're watching, you can super chat, you can become a member. The members, if you become a member, you have access to my member Discord, which is sort of an after hours fun activity area for members. But also I am trying to grift a bit so I can get some cameras in the courtroom, my own cameras for the Crumbly Parents trial, which I'm anticipating is coming up this fall. So I'm grifting a bit for that so that I can give you better content, particularly for that trial. Ooh, Wendy, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Dave got more though. I did get more last time. Nicholas got the first and I got more. So we'll call it even.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, like and subscribe, MLS Law Show, become a member, super chat. You can also, if you're in the rewatch crew, if you're not watching us live, you can do a super thanks. I've activated that. So just look down there. You can do a super thanks as well. Help contribute to the cause to bring quality content such as this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if we can get. Thank you, Erin K. Now we're even in numbers, but I got one more. But it's not a competition. It's not a competition.
What do they say in McGuire? Show me the money, right? Show me the money.
Oh, and yes, last night I had a whiskey and beer session because I was bored. So I went. an impromptu stream. So now Hugo got a friend in Gertrude. So now I have two named chili plants, Hugo and Gertrude. And yeah, Gertrude was named by Solomon Anderson. And if you don't know about the Anderson case, I have loads of videos about the Zachariah Anderson case. And yeah, go watch that if you please, so you can be as infuriated as I have been the last couple of months about, in my mind, an injustice of biblical proportion. If Hugo and Gertrude. Yes, Gertrude is a chili plant too. Yeah.
They will make a happy couple.
They will make a happy couple. Yeah. Maybe there will be little mini plants. But you all are here for the trial. So let's see. We are going straight into the defense opening. So yeah, let's see what we will find.
Let's see what they bring. This is going to be interesting.
Jodi Arias killed Travis Alexander.
Oh.
There is no question about it.
They just come straight out with that.
Why is this trial not shorter? I mean...
Okay, so they come straight out. Well, I mean, it was kind of hard to deny, but I mean, the first words out of her mouth. All right.
Okay.
Let's see where you're coming at it. They're, I don't know. She looks a little odd. I have, oh God, the Alaska governor ran for office. I have her in my mind.
Sarah Palin.
Sarah Palin. Yes, Sarah Palin.
Yep. She's still Salvador. You can't save her. Stop doing that.
It's amazing what men are attracted to.
Yeah,
it's crazy aside. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So
the $1 million question is what would have forced her to do it. And throughout this trial, you will hear that Jodi was indeed forced. In just under 2 minutes, we go from the last picture taken of Travis in the shower, in just under 2 minutes, to the picture of Travis's body. You can see the foot in the front with his head and his shoulders, and blood clearly on his shoulders. In just those 2 minutes, Jodi had to make a choice. She would either live or she would die. Jodi did not always tell the truth about what happened that night. She was scared. Scared about what had happened and scared about what she had done. She had absolutely no experience with police interrogation before. And so when they talked to her, she wasn't always truthful. Her fear and her panic about what had happened led her to tell different stories. But you will learn that what she said, those stories, were not the truth. Throughout this trial, you will learn more about Jodi Arias, much more about Jodi. You will find that she's an articulate, bright young woman who is a very talented artist and photographer. But most of all, what you'll learn is that Jodi loved Travis. And so what would have forced her to have to take Travis's life on that awful day? In order to answer that question, we have to go back to the beginning, back to just before she and Travis first met. Now, Travis and Jodi met in September of 2006. At that time, Jodi was in a relationship, a long-term relationship with Starow. Jodi and Daryl had been together for 4 years at that point. Now, Jodi and Daryl first met when Jodi was working at the Ventana Inn and Spa. And Daryl was actually her boss.
Guy.
But she was quickly promoted to event planner, and when she was promoted, he was no longer her boss. And so the two began to date. And at the time, Daryl had just gotten through a very difficult divorce, and he really had no intentions of getting married again. But despite that, they still embarked on a relationship
No,
to
the knife
see where it was
shopping
going to lead them.
apparently comes later.
What was serious enough that in June of 2005, they both put money down on a house and bought a house together in Palm Desert, California. Now, Prepaid Legal has 2 big conventions a year, and they had just had their convention in March, which Jodi missed because she was just signing up. And so the next convention was in September. And the person who signed her up really talked to her about how important it is to go to these conventions so you can learn more about how to get people to buy insurance and so forth. And so in September of 2006, it was with the hope of gaining more financial stability that Jodi, Michelle, and another girlfriend hopped in the car and drove up to Vegas.
Apparently.
That's where the convention was being held. And it was actually being held at the MGM Grand. Now, the idea of this convention is that it is a long weekend full of meetings. Meetings about how great Prepaid Legal is. And as long as you can sell what they're trying to sell and you can get people to buy, you can stand to make a lot of money.
Do you want to pause it for a second?
Lots of the parts of these.
So she's part of Prepaid Legal. That's like it's a multi-level marketing scheme. So that's what she's doing. So that's how she knows her prior, and they're in this multi-level marketing scheme. I just want everyone to have context. Prepaid Legal, it's not like, people have heard of it, but let's be real about what it is. It's multi-level marketing. So that's what she's doing. That's what she's engaged in prior to meeting up with the victim in this case.
Okay. There's a lot of crazy coming out of the multi-level marketing stuff. Wasn't one of the newer trials also in some?
There's something, I can't remember what it is with the multi-level marketing. Wait, weren't you just talking about it with what's his name, Tate, over in Romania?
Yeah.
That's what I heard it last. Was on your stream.
Yeah. Tate's this university of sorts he is running. That's in my opinion, a multi-level marketing scheme wrapped in a masculinity. Pay $50 a month, and I will teach you how to be a man stuff. And he's making millions out of it.
So multi-level marketing is what you kind of call a pyramid scheme. And the only way you make money is by getting other people to sell shit to other people that they don't need. But then they could then sell it to other people who will then sell it, who will then sell it, who will then sell it. And at the end of the day, the more people that sell under you, the more you get. And that's how Prepaid Legal works as well.
Okay. Wait, more in the deep end. Wait, so my law degree from them is worthless? Yeah.
I'm muted. I've been contacted by them to take on cases where people have actually like, okay, well, I paid for my Prepaid Legal. Now I need an attorney, but I don't know of a single attorney that actually takes them. So it's your kind of whatever you pay for with this Prepaid Legal. I don't know if there's an attorney out there that does the work.
Well, I've never heard of it because I'm on the other side of the world, but we do have our own MLMs stuff here. Mostly they are American who then show up here because sooner or later you run out of people to sell to and then move to the next country and allegedly scam there too. And yeah.
Oh, apparently Farrell's saying that Rob from Law and Lumber takes some of the Prepaid Legal stuff. Like I said, I've been contacted by them, but their numbers are so low that you're kind of doing it pro bono. You're maxed out, like certain amount of money, and that's it for this type of motion or this type of case. and it's just not worth it to me to do it.
Yeah. Is there any legal insurance other than a retainer? Well, over here you can in the union you have, if you're in legal trouble in workplace, the union can step in with our lawyers. So that's a part of the union fee that you get help from.
And there
our
is
legal
like,
teams.
in America, there is like regular insurance companies, like MetLife has a legal insurance fund that you can get insurance through. A lot of people get it through their employers, through MetLife and other companies that will provide legal services for certain things up to a certain amount. Usually it excludes family law, though. But there are legitimate services out there that do provide for legal insurance.
Okay. But we're here for Jodi Arias, so let's continue.
These meetings are people giving speeches about how to do it and why to do it and how much money you can make. After one of these meetings one day, Jodi was having lunch with some of her friends that she had just met and some of the friends that she came with. And they were at the Rainforest Cafe in the MGM Grand. And she was standing just outside the Rainforest Cafe. There was a group of people, and she sees one man across the way. That man walks right up to her, makes a beeline, and says, "Hi, my name's Travis Alexander." That is how Jodi and Travis first met. They spent, over the rest of the weekend, Travis spent a lot of time with Jodi, wowing her about how important he was, because he was actually an executive director in prepaid legal, which means he was at a higher level in the company. He had a lot of people signing up underneath him, which pushes him up to a higher level. She learned that because he was an executive director, that he would get to go to the executive director banquets. And after meeting Jodi, he invited Jodi to go. And so although it's a place that she normally wouldn't get to go because she had just signed up, she got to go to this executive banquet. He also invited her to sit in the front seats. So at these meetings, usually the front seats, the front rows, are reserved for people who are considered important in prepaid legal. It wouldn't have been Jodi at that time. But because of Travis and his invitation, she got to sit up front. He took her through a tour of the casino. They talked and talked and talked. And in fact, at one point, they sat on a bench in the casino to the wee hours of the morning, where at some point, Travis actually tried to kiss Jodi. But Jodi had to stop him and remind him that she had a boyfriend, Starow. During the time that they spent together, Jodi learned a lot about Travis. Not only was he an executive director at Prepaid Legal, but he, being an executive director, he made many speeches at these conventions to try and get people to sign up at Prepaid Legal. Not only that, he was a Mormon, which is a religion that really emphasizes and values marriage and children. And they spoke a lot about that weekend. Jodi was captivated. After the convention, Travis kept in touch with Jodi. They talked on the phone for hours. They continued talking and texting after the convention. And in fact, it was just 4 days after the convention when Jodi had a sit-down talk with Starow. They talked about the relationship, how it wasn't really progressing, and they eventually broke up. Starow moved into a different bedroom within their own house.
That's weird. Our relationship aren't progressing. Let's say you've been together for 4 years. You bought a house. How? Well,
I think she was just coming up with an excuse for a way out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was only the following weekend after the convention, about a week and a half after the convention ended, that Travis convinced Jodi to come and meet him at his friend's house in Murrieta, California. And that was Chris and Sky Hughes. And Jodi agreed. So she drove up to meet Travis with his friends at their house and spent the weekend with them. It was that weekend, a week and a half after first meeting Travis, that they introduced her to the Mormon church, and they took her to church. It was a few days after that, the following Wednesday, that Travis, on his way home from California, back to Mesa, Arizona, stopped in Palm Desert, California, to see Jodi once more. And when he stopped, he met Jodi at a Starbucks. It was at that Starbucks that they had some more discussions, and that was when Travis gave Jodi the Book of Mormon. Shortly after that visit at Starbucks, Travis sent missionaries, Mormon missionaries, to Jodi's house in Palm Desert. And those missionaries came to visit her once a week, from the end of September all the way through October. The missionaries would have sit-down talks with Jodi, discuss the LDS Church, discuss the Book of Mormon, and all the good reasons why it was to join and convert. And so, in November of 2006, just 2 months after meeting Travis, Travis convinced Jodi to convert to Mormonism. Now, not only was Travis portrayed as an important member of prepaid legal, but he was a very important member of the Mormon Church as well. He was a temple member. And a temple member is not just a member of the church. A temple member is special. It's special because in order to become a temple member, one has to actually live what they consider a worthy life. And a worthy life is someone who has no alcohol, no tobacco, no tea,
I can't
no
be
coffee,
a Mormon.
and
That's
above
it.
all,
Yep.
that person has
religion
no
is out
sex
for me.
without marriage of any
Yeah, I
kind.
forgot about the white underwear for the Mormons.
It was a prestigious honor to be a member of a temple member, and Travis was.
I mean, white underwear, no alcohol, no tobacco.
He was someone to be
What
admired
next? No
to
bacon?
Jodi.
I mean,
He was a good Mormon man that she had met. And in November, Travis baptized Jodi into the Mormon Church. Now, Travis and Jodi took many trips together during the time that they knew each other. Jodi is a wonderful photographer, and so much of their trips are actually documented in photographs. And so,
Oh yeah,
they took a lot of trips together for church trips. In other words, going to visit different Mormon churches, special places for the Mormon Church, and then just trips together. Certainly on the outside, looking in, it really appeared like they were involved in a very loving and healthy relationship. But nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, behind the smiles in these photographs, there was a whole nother reality for Jodi. A reality that Travis created. Because in reality, Jodi was Travis's dirty little secret. From the moment, despite projecting himself as a good and virginal Mormon man, someone who was a temple member, from the moment he met Jodi, he was pushing and pushing her to have a sexual relationship with him. And it took just about a week, because the weekend that they met at Chris and Sky Hughes' house, he got what he wanted. As Travis would explain to Jodi, oral sex really isn't as much of a sin for him as vaginal sex. And so he was able to convince her to give him oral sex. And later in their relationship,
there's always a loophole.
That anal sex really isn't much of a sin compared to vaginal sex. And so he was able to persuade her to allow him to have anal sex with her. Being a temple member and an executive director of prepaid legal, outward appearances would be very important to Travis. And so while he continued this facade of being a good and virginal Mormon man, he was inwardly dealing with his own sexual issues. And in Jodi, he found somebody who was easily manipulated and controlled. someone who would provide him with that secretive sexual relationship that he needed. While on the outside, he can still pursue the appropriate Mormon woman.
So you're surrounded by Swedish people now. David.
That's the sister-in-law.
Jodi wanted nothing but to please Travis.
Your sister-in-law, not
And
Yeah, my
in
sister-in-law.
doing that,
Yeah.
she, at some points during their relationship, he would tell her, you know, you really, maybe you ought to see somebody else, date somebody else. But the moment that Jodi would ever even text another man or talk to another man, Travis would instantly degrade her, yell at her, embarrass her, and humiliate her. And so Jodi learned very quickly how to deal with Travis's temper. She learned how to deal with his temper by being humble, compliant, and agreeable. And that was one good way to help avoid his temper. Jodi officially broke up with Travis in June of 2007. And this June of 2007 was, she broke up with him because she found out that despite having sex with Jodi and saying things like he loved her, he was pursuing other women. And so because of that, Jodi broke up with him. But Travis didn't want to break up. Travis begged her for forgiveness. And even though they were considered officially broken up, they never stopped seeing each other. They never stopped talking with each other or emailing or texting. Now, at the time that they broke up, Jodi was living in Big Sur, California, and Travis was living in Mesa, Arizona. In July of 2007, Travis sent Jodi a poem that basically apologized for his behavior and asked her to be with him. Later in July of 2007,
Did we
Jodi
get to
actually
read this
flew out
poem?
to see Travis in Mesa.
So I want, if I'm understanding this correctly, so she's saying that Travis was abusive and manipulative, but apparently they broke up, and she's living nowhere near him. She's living in California, and at some point, though, she goes back with him. So how is she going to explain that away? And then also, I'm really excited to read this poem because I think that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
And spent the weekend with him. That weekend sealed the deal because Travis showered her with attention, was nothing but sweet and kind. And so shortly after that, Jodi moved from Big Sur, California to Mesa, Arizona. She moved in with a girlfriend of hers she knew from the Mormon church. Now, despite the attention that Travis paid to Jodi in private, he treated her far differently in the public eye. You'll hear how Travis degraded Jodi to his friends. You'll hear that he often referred to her as a stalker or claimed that she was crazy. But
I don't know if
he
it
did
walks like a
anything,
duck and talks like a duck, right?
Like speak with another man or text another man. He would further degrade her by calling her names like slut and whore. He would text her these things and email her these things. The more that Travis distanced himself from Jodi to his friends, the easier it was for him to keep control of her and to keep for his own sexual needs.
But are you writing poetry, Nicholas?
Oh, hell no.
Now, one of the witnesses that you'll hear from is named Alice LaViolette. Miss LaViolette is an expert in dealing with domestic violence. She has decades of experience with domestic violence counseling, and in fact, she started, I think, in 1978, counseling battered women in shelters. But today, her specialty is treating people for domestic violence. She treats the victims of domestic violence, but she also treats the abusers in domestic violence. Miss LaViolette will explain to you how domestic violence relationships are created. She will explain to you that they are not created overnight. And she'll also talk to you about how in domestic violence, when we refer to domestic violence, we're not always talking about physical violence. In fact, a lot of times domestic violence comes from control through verbal abuse. She'll talk to you about the difficulty with domestic violence and how a lot of times domestic violence goes unreported.
We will see
and
if it's in the
unprosecuted.
trial.
She'll talk to you about the reasons for that, because a lot of domestic violence victims are ashamed of what happens to them. Domestic violence victims sometimes fear that their abuser is going to get even more violent if they actually report it. And sometimes domestic violence victims believe and hope that the abuser will change, like he promises he's going to. Most importantly, Ms. LaViolette will talk to you about why domestic violence victims don't have the same ability that everybody else does to make that decision to leave. Because if somebody is abusing you, get up and leave. Ms. LaViolette will explain to you that it is not an easy decision to make for somebody who has been abused, because there's a lot of psychological components that go into that decision. Now, the best evidence of Travis's manipulation of Jodi is
I'm just happy
his
Green
insistence
Tie
to
Man
others
isn't doing the opening
that Jodi
because
stopped him.
I would mock him too much.
His insistence to others that Jodi wouldn't leave him alone. But yet it was always at his demand and his beckoning that Jodi spent time with him.
This is very much argument, though. This is supposed to be an opening statement. The evidence is going to show you this. The evidence is going to show you that. She's not saying things like that. She's giving an argument. It's vague. It's subtle, but she's giving an argument. She's not saying you're going to see text messages that are going to say this, or you're going to read or hear from this person that's going to say that.
Yeah, this should be the narrative of that witness if they have that psychologist woman from 1978 with battered woman, whatever. That should be in that direct or defense case in chief as an opening statement. Yeah.
I mean, I know they're trying to set the stage and she's trying to tell a narrative, and she's doing a fine job telling a narrative. So, and who was it that said that she's doing a good job? She is overall, but if I was the other side, there's possibility for objection here because she's kind of giving argument. And maybe they just want to move this along because they know at the end of the day, no one's going to believe her story. So let's just move it along and get into the case.
Yeah. It might show that the state, since they don't object, they want to get to their case in chief.
Yeah.
They just let her talk and we will disprove everything.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
At one point during their relationship, Travis even had a t-shirt made. A t-shirt made proclaiming his ownership
Broken
of
baby,
Jodi.
no, you can't save her.
Now, I know that in some circles and certainly in some relationships, maybe that would be considered cute or funny. But if you understand the inner workings of the relationship between Travis and Jodi, that t-shirt is a perfect example of how Travis treated Jodi. Oftentimes,
That almost looked Photoshop.
in April of 2008, Jodi had enough because Jodi found out that once again, Travis was pursuing other women. Even though he was having her in his bed, Travis was still pursuing other women. And in April of 2008, Jodi had enough. She moved from Mesa, Arizona, back to California, to Wairika, which is where her grandparents live. Even though she moved, Travis didn't let her go. He continued emailing, texting, and calling. He guilted her about leaving him. And the thing is, with the type of relationship that they were in, the minute that Travis was nice to Jodi and caring to Jodi, she fell right back into that relationship with him. And so even though she left and moved states, they still continued to talk and email and text. In fact, even though they didn't see each other from April of 2008 until June of 2008, Travis was still able to use Jodi for his own sexual desires through the phone and phone sex. You'll actually hear
We're both muted. You're muted,
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Yeah, I don't like phone sex, but because as soon as she puts it in, I can't hear her.
Wait, what? I was halfway through a text and I was like half listening to that. All right. Yeah, well, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem.
Yeah.
Oh. It's too early for that here.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
I'm going to get a beer.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, you go have a. I don't. I ran out
We
of
have
beer
beer here,
yesterday.
I think.
Yeah, I ran out of beer yesterday evening during my beer and whiskey stream, and so I'm only having.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm going to get a beer. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You keep going.
Yeah.
a recorded phone call. Recorded call between Travis and Jodi. That's very explicit. And this phone call is made just a couple of weeks before Travis dies. It's clear in this phone call that the both of them are talking about how they're going to find somebody and marry someone else. Jodi very clearly knows that Travis is not going to marry her, and she's not going to marry Travis. And they discuss it. Travis talks about how he's going to Cancun with somebody else. Jodi knew that, and she expresses absolutely no dismay about it whatsoever. And this is just weeks before he dies. Most importantly, when you hear this call, it's crucial to understand the difference between the type of person that Travis portrayed himself to be versus the things that he said on this recorded call. Because while he was supposed to be this virginal Mormon man who didn't want to have any type of relationship with Jodi and she just wouldn't leave him alone, in this phone call, he talks about his fantasies with Jodi of tying her to a tree and putting it, forgive me, in her ass all the way. That's Travis. And then, when Jodi pretends to climax during this phone call, Travis tells her that she sounds like a 12-year-old girl who was having an orgasm for the first time. And then he tells her,
How would he know that?
It's so hot.
Good question. And it's hot.
These comments are not comments of a man who is being relentlessly stalked and who does not want to have any contact with Jodi.
Yeah,
These are
Valhalla, the
comments of
loophole.
a man who has a real problem with the comparison to the person he portrays
Well, if you
himself
keep on
to
the
be
loophole
and
might,
who he's supposed to
never
be
mind.
versus the person, his own private reality, and the person who he really was.
Oh,
So,
what
would have
someone
forced
recorded
Jodi?
it? Oh, huh.
It was Travis's continual abuse. And on June 4th of 2008, it had reached a point of no return. And sadly, Travis left Jodi no other option but to defend herself. On that horrible day, Jodi believed that Travis was going to kill her. He threatened to kill her, and given her experience with him, she had no reason to not believe him. Travis knew that Jodi was planning a trip to Utah because they had talked about it. He knew that she was going to stop along the way and see different friends of hers. He kept asking her to come and see him. And at the last minute, Jodi decided that she would veer off and take a short trip to Mesa to come and see Travis at his beckoning. And so she gets to Mesa early in the morning, around 4 or so in the morning. Travis is in his den, which is downstairs. He's on the computer when she gets there. And we know this because there's a forensic examination done of his computer. So we know he was on the computer at 4 in the morning. Travis wanted to have sex, but Jodi said she was too tired. And so the two went upstairs and they went to sleep. They slept until about 1 in the afternoon. And when they got up at 1 in the afternoon, they began to engage in sexual activity. Travis always had wanted to tie Jodi up. And he had done it before. He had tied her up with rope before, but the rope he had used really hurt her. And so this time he was prepared. He had rope that was soft, the kind of rope that people use for decorating, to hold curtains back. So it's like a softer rope. He had that kind of rope. And he was ready. And so Travis tied Jodi up.
Did we get to see the rope? Did they walk around with it?
He used a knife to cut the rope when it was at the appropriate length. They engaged in sexual activity. And then part of what they were doing that afternoon too was that he wanted to take pictures of Jodi. He had gotten a new camera just a month or so before, and he wanted to use it to take pictures of Jodi. Now, the kind of pictures that Travis wants to take of Jodi are the kind that would make most people cringe with embarrassment. And we show you these photos not for any type of shock value, but you're going to see them in trial. Because these are the photos that Travis took of Jodi.
We see all of them, all of her in trial.
Travis also liked to see Jodi in pigtails. And so she put her hair in pigtails for him. These photos were taken in the afternoon. Later that afternoon, Travis and Jodi were downstairs, and they were back in his den. They were pouring through pictures of all of their trips together, all the different pictures that they had. And there was a problem.
There's no blurring
Travis
of the
couldn't
images,
pull up
Tatiana.
pictures on his computer. And he was having a problem getting to see these pictures. Well, we know that there was a virus on Travis's computer. And we know that because of the forensic examination that was done. And so when he tried to pull up these pictures, it wasn't working right. Well, Travis's temper flared and he took the CD and he threw it up against the wall in the den. Jodi went immediately into protective mode. Protective mode means that she's trying to calm him down, trying to do something to avoid his temper, telling him that it's okay, I'll fix it, don't worry about it. And as she was telling him, she knew that the one thing that calms his temper the quickest is sex. So as she's telling him, it's okay, I'll fix it, don't worry, Travis grabbed her and spun her around. Afraid that he was going to hurt her, Jodi was actually relieved when all he did was bend her over the desk, pull her arm up behind her back, pull her pants down, and have quick and rough vaginal sex with her, ejaculating all over her back. When Travis was finished, Jodi was allowed to get up and go to the restroom across the hallway from the den. She washed herself off. And then the two went upstairs to the bedroom, back up to get her stuff. But Travis, his temper had now subsided. And he was now back into the sweet talking mode. And he was sweet talking her to stay for a little bit longer. Because he had, in preparation for his Cancun trip that he was going to be leaving on shortly, he had been working out. And he had been dieting. And so he really wanted to have pictures taken of him, tasteful pictures, to show his progress on what he's done with his dieting and working out. And he wanted Jodi, the photographer, to take those pictures of him. And so she did. They went upstairs and he went into the shower. And Jodi began snapping pictures of him. Tasteful pictures. Waist up pictures for Travis. She was snapping picture after picture after picture. And you can see that this one was taken at these pictures are ultimately found and time-stamped. So you'll see that this picture was taken at 5:29 in the afternoon and 20 seconds. The next picture is the last picture of Travis taken in the shower. And you can see that in this picture, you can't tell so much if he's sitting or standing, but you can see that his shoulders are out. And in the next picture, you can see that his shoulders are out sitting on his knee. There's a difference of a little over a minute between the two pictures. This was the last picture of Travis taken in the shower during their photo session. Because the next picture is taken when Jodi accidentally drops Travis's camera. You can see that it's not an intentional picture because one, it's blurry, but two, it's a
pictures while holding a
facing
knife.
Yeah, and attacking someone. Yes.
Jodi accidentally drops Travis's camera. And as that camera was falling, that was enough for Travis because he lunged at Jodi in anger, knocking her to the ground in the bathroom where there was a struggle. Jodi's life was in danger. In just a minute from this picture, we go to the next picture where it's Travis's body. He's clearly injured already in a minute. Now that very brief moment of time, a minute, is not the result of premeditation. It is not the result of a planned out attack.
Objection argument.
The evidence will show that it is not the result.
Objection argument.
Councilor Branch.
See, so they made the objection argument that, or the objection that she was arguing, which she's been doing kind of more or less throughout this, but that was clear argument. Yeah. And then she goes to, well, the evidence will show this, and he's like, oh, it's still argument, so you can't say it. So I don't know what's going to come of the sidebar.
Yeah.
You can't make argument in an opening statement. You're just supposed to lay out. The purpose of the opening statement is to give the jury an understanding of what the story is going to be presented based off of the evidence. It's just to give them an overview and a heads up rather than just going into a cold. That's all it's for. It's not to make argument. It's not to try to convince the jury one way or the other. It's just to give them sort of bullet points as to what the evidence is going to show during the trial.
Yeah, and the state, I'm still with the state that, yes, it will, they let her go on and on and on, but at one point they said, okay, now's enough. Because she became too brave with...
Well, and that's the thing with trial strategy. You know, we were talking about it in the chat earlier as to, well, maybe they don't want to break it up. The flow, let's just get to it. We'll let some stuff slide. The risk you run, though, is that then, you know, the other side feels like, okay, they've got a license then to make argument. And to the point where it's already out there. She already said, you know, this was a confrontation that Travis started. That's already out there in the jury's minds because you didn't object earlier.
Yeah. And I see here we don't have much time left on...
Yeah, and then we go into the first two witnesses.
Just 1 minute of time between the camera falling until you see the picture of Travis with blood. 1 minute. In that 1 minute, had Jodi not been forced to defend herself, none of us would be here. In that 1 minute, had Jodi not chosen to defend herself, she would not be here. Thank you.
So my initial thoughts on the defense's opening is they still have a lot of explaining to do with regard to, let's assume for the sake of this argument, that she truly was battered and she truly was abused and domestic assault and whatever by Travis. Why is she back at his house? And I don't think they touch on that at all. When, you know, the opening statement, all of a sudden she's just kind of there again at his house when she said that Jodi had moved to California. They broke up. She moved to California. Didn't really give an explanation as to why all of a sudden Jodi's back at his place. Wendy, thank you for the super chat.
Oh,
You want to see me live in action in court? I have a trial on Wednesday. It's not this salacious, but come and check it out. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can maybe get a video of it. There are some of me arguing in the Court of Appeals. That's easier to get than my trial work. But we'll see. If I could get some video of it, my clients are cool with it, I might post that as well so you guys can see some of that.
Yeah. Okay, so that was, now we've been through the state's opening, which was 50% confusing and 50%, okay, now we know what to expect. And then we went through the defense, which all in all is he forced her to self-defense of sorts because she knew he was going to, well, the claim of him being abusive. But yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, the state's position is that she was a jealous ex-girlfriend, obsessed over him, and murdered him because if I can't have him, nobody can. That seems like a more compelling position to take than what the defense was saying.
And I've seen in the chat from Tuesday that we might expect something like false alibi to start with, and they went through this a bit with the defense opening that she has no experience with law enforcement because she's never been in trouble before, so she lied, more or less. And yeah, and apparently those lies were quite planned out, if I read the chat correct from Tuesday. But yeah, so that's where we are right now. And let's see here. Now we go into the first witnesses, and sadly those for some reason are audio only, but we will move on with.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but we got what we got. And this is the only part, by the way, I think that is audio only. The rest of it will have video components.
Yeah. So here we go.
Oh, okay, it is playing. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's kind of weird the way where it picks up. Well, actually, so before all of this is the opening and closing statement. So now we're getting to the first witness, and it's audio only, so it's kind of hard to track where they actually start.
The record will show the presence of the jury, the defendant, and all
There we go.
counsel. The state may call its first witness.
The state called Marie Hall.
Please come forward right up here to be sworn.
Marie Paul. Anybody know anything about this woman? That's a picture of
Spell your
her.
first and last name, please.
M-A-R-I-E. Last name is H-A-L-L.
Raise
I
your
will
right
try
hand.
to
You do solemnly
lower
swear the
our
testimony you're about
audio
to give
that
will be the truth, the
sometimes
whole truth, and nothing but the truth,
raises
so help you God. Thank you.
Please walk right around here and have a seat. You may proceed.
May I have your name, please?
Marie Hall.
And drawing your attention back to June of 2008, did you happen to know an individual by the name of Travis Alexander?
Yes, I did.
And how did you meet him?
I met him through church,
What church was that?
the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It was at a singles ward.
Are they also known as Mormons?
Yes,
And how long have you been practicing Mormon?
my whole life.
And how was it that you met him? You said you met him through church, but explain to me how it was that you met him.
I gave a talk in the church service on a Sunday, and he came up to me afterward and commented on how well I did.
When was that approximately?
Approximately January or February of 2008.
And after he had that conversation with did you continue to see him?
Yes.
How often would you see him?
He asked me out a couple of times. I think we went on 3 dates. And
I know that, but I mean, did he ask you out immediately, or that first time that he met you then, or how did that
No.
progress?
I would see him every Sunday at church, and then we had weekly activities. And so he probably asked me out a couple of weeks after he commented on my talk.
These activities that you're talking about with church, what were they?
They were church single adult activities, so we would either, there was a family home evening, so every Monday we would meet for a spiritual thought and just a socializing time, and then we would have service activities or just fun activities.
Let me ask you about the singles activities. You said that were those on any given date, or was that any time, or how did those work?
The activities were usually weekly. The most consistent ones that we would have would be Monday night for a family home evening, we called it.
That's also known as FHE, correct?
Yes.
And the family home evening, what time does that start?
7:30,
And what time does it normally end?
about 8:30.
About what time?
8:30.
And during this time of family home evening, it implies that, by the word family, that your whole family is there. I thought that you told me or said something about singles ward or something. Are they the same thing, or is it something different, or what's going on?
So, growing up in a family, the church set aside a time for families to meet to have a little gathering at home where they share a spiritual thought. But in the singles ward, they just have, there's obviously no families in the singles ward. It's just single adults from the age of 18 to 31. They will meet every Monday as if they were a big family.
So, as I understand it, what you're saying, though, even though you're calling it a family home evening, what you're telling me is if you're in the singles ward, it's just a bunch
No,
of singles.
sorry, no
Yeah, it's a meet and greet
captions.
type of thing.
And what was the ages involved here?
18 to 31.
And what happens to a single who hasn't married after the age of 31?
They go to a family ward.
They-
Typically, they go to a family ward. So, like me, I'm 33. I'm in a family ward now.
Okay, what was
What
her
does that
name?
mean?
Well, people who are married, people who are single,
It was Maria.
just everyone goes to the same ward. If you're a single adult over 31, you
Maria
go to a
something.
family ward now, unless you have an older single ward in your area of
Well,
where you live.
What do the activities that are in the single wards, do they differ from the family ward post 31?
Yes.
How so?
Well, you're not going out.
Marie Hall.
Yeah, Maria Hall.
The family ward doesn't meet together every Monday night for family home evening. That's just done individually on a family by family basis. Sometimes you'll have big activities with the ward where you might go to a lake and have a barbecue, but usually that's done with single adults. And then both a single adult ward and a family ward will do service projects.
Well, let me ask you about the single ward activity. In describing it, it just seems to me that that's more of a social kind of approach to things with religion mixed in. Would that be fair or not?
Yeah, that's fair.
And what kind of social activities does those in the single ward, what do they engage in?
We would go to maybe we would go ice skating all together, or we would go to a lake or have a barbecue, or we would go to someone's house, and typically there's a spiritual thought, maybe a scripture read, and someone's personal experience with that, and that's usually like 10 minutes, and then we just have fun. And for singles ward, it's an area for people to meet each other, get to know each other, possibly make a connection where they start dating and eventually get married.
These singles wards that we're talking about, is there one singles ward for all of Mesa, a single ward for Tempe, or what are the geographical lines, if you will, for a singles ward?
Yeah, so they're broken up geographically, usually for convenience sake, so that you have one close in your neighborhood that you can go to. I don't know, like, how they determine the
This
boundaries
is
as far as what the
audio
distance
only,
is, but they're usually pretty small.
so that's why it's
and
frozen.
at least in Mesa, Gilbert area, there are several single adults. They have.
This is the woman that was
single
last dating
states.
Travis before he sort of
Let me
went
ask
back
you
with
about the single
Jodi.
board that you were in back in 2008. Did that have like a name or geographical name?
Yeah,
What was it called? Hold on, I have to ask a question. You can't take over this time. What was that?
The name of our ward was Desert Ridge Ward at the time, and then it was changed to Indigo Bay.
But it was Desert Ridge back then,
Yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Is that yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And with regard to that ward that you were in, how many singles would you say was in there?
Several hundred.
How many?
Several hundred.
And would they all meet at the same time on Mondays for the family home evenings, or is it something that?
Yeah, sometimes we would meet in smaller groups, but for the most part, we would all meet together. Not everyone would show up every Monday, so you're looking at a group of maybe 50 to 100 people showing up every Monday.
And would there be a situation where people from your single board, the Desert Ridge one, would they, for example, associate with members from another single board?
Yeah, you could do that.
Were you familiar with the university singles board or not?
Yes.
And how far away, geographically speaking, was the one of the university from yours?
You mean mile-wise or like just time?
Yeah, sure.
It would probably 10 miles, 5 to 10 miles away.
5-10 miles away?
Yeah.
And as to which ward you belong, is that determined by a place of residence, or is that a choice that is made by the person who's going to be in the singles ward?
It's set up to be by a place of residence. So if you live, Travis and I lived in the same neighborhood, and so we went to the same singles ward.
You mentioned that he complimented some sort of presentation that you made. Was that presentation made as part of the singles ward family home evening, or was that made as part of your presentation of something else?
That was, he commented on a talk that I gave during our sacrament meeting, which is on Sunday.
So that's not the same as the singles ward meeting and all of that stuff, right? That's church, right?
Right, that's church.
And that was on a Sunday.
That
right?
was on a Sunday, yes.
And he came up to you after one of those talks, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And after that is when he asked you sometime after that, right?
Yeah.
And was it at this singles meetings that he asked you, or how did that come about? If you remember.
I don't remember if he called me or if he asked me at one of the meetings. I don't remember.
And did you agree to go out with him?
Yes.
And describe for me the date. Did he come to your house? Did he take you somewhere? Why don't you just tell me a little bit about the date?
I believe we went to dinner and we went to Barnes & Noble, a bookstore, and had some hot chocolate.
And about what time did the date start?
Probably about 7:30.
And about what time did it end?
About 10:30.
So it's a total of 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And during that time, did you develop any feelings for him? Were there any sparks there? Tell me about how you felt during this day.
I thought he was a really nice guy, but I didn't have any sparks.
And did you let him know about that?
I just by the first date, no.
Yes, the first date. That's
No.
what we're talking about.
I just kind of, just by the way you act with someone when you're not quite as interested in them. So.
And during that date, did Mr. Alexander say anything sexually inappropriate to you at all?
No.
And anytime during that date, did he kiss you?
No.
Did he try to kiss you when he dropped you off?
No.
And at any time, did he reach out to hold your hand or do anything like that?
No, at the most he gave me a hug goodnight, like an awkward hug.
How did you leave the date? Did you guys agree that you were going to go out again, or what
Just typical where, I had a great time. Thank you very much. We should go out sometime. Okay, sure. That kind of thing. But shortly after I started,
But you didn't really want to go out with them, right?
no,
After that, did you start seeing somebody else?
yes.
And about when was that you started to see this other individual?
Within a matter of like a week or two, it was I had gone out with probably the other individual once before, and so we started going out more often.
Okay. And was this person also on the singles board or no?
He was in a singles ward, but not in our singles ward. I met him through another friend.
But he was also Mormon, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
How long did you continue to see this other individual?
Just a couple of weeks.
So after a couple of weeks, you and this other individual broke up again, I guess, or stopped seeing each other, right?
That's correct.
And after that, as it applies to Mr. Alexander, did you approach him or did he approach you?
He approached me.
And any idea of the date, more or less, when it was?
I would say it was in mid-February, March, maybe.
And during that time that he approached you, whether it's mid-February or mid-March, what happened? Did he ask you out or what happened? Tell me what happened.
Yes, he asked me out and we went on another date. We went and...
Do you know whether or not he knew about this other individual that you've gone out with?
So what does this matter? Well, this is the state giving testimony that Travis was actually moving on from Jodi Arias, that him and Jodi did not date anymore. She had moved away, and probably trying to insinuate that it was Jodi who made the move on Travis after Travis broke up. That is my theory, at least, with calling this witness.
I had told him, because he had asked me out before, I told him that I had started dating someone else. And so, he backed off. And then when I broke up, he found out, I'm assuming, and started, trying to ask me out again.
So when you told him that you were seeing this other individual, was he upset? Did he start raising his voice and curse or anything like that?
No.
What was his reaction when you said, I'm seeing somebody else?
He was very sweet and respectful and totally understood.
Did you and him ever text each other?
Yes.
How about emails? Did you exchange those?
Yes.
After you told him that you were going to see this other individual, did he send you text messages calling you, I don't know, disparaging names, bad names?
No.
But did he continue to text with you?
Yes.
How about emails? Did you and he continue to correspond through email?
Yes.
And did he ever send you any emails calling you names or accusing you of things?
Not at all. No.
So he reapproaches you again after you're done with this relationship, and you say that could be February or March of 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And where do you go on this date?
We went to a place where you paint pottery, and I made a bowl.
All right. And what town was this in?
Mesa.
What time did he pick you up?
7:30, typical time probably.
And how long were you out with him?
Just a couple of hours, probably 3 hours.
And what happened after the two of you were done painting this pottery?
He took me home.
And during the time that you were with him that day, did he ever curse at all?
No.
Yeah,
During
David,
that time, did he
you
make
got
any sexual advances,
gifted
whether they
memberships.
were wanted or unwanted?
No, I felt very safe with Travis. He was, very respectful. There was never anything like that.
At any time, did he curse at you, or you see that show any temper during that time?
No.
And at the end of the day, did you and he
Randy, thank you.
again engage in what may be customary, I don't know, touching, kissing, that sort of thing?
No, and again, it would just be an awkward hug goodnight. That's the extent of anything.
And during that time, did you ever indicate to him that maybe the sparks weren't there for you?
Not on the date, no.
No. And at any time after that, did you tell him that, or did you continue going out?
We went out one other time, and
All right.
then at that point, I was trying, he was a really fun guy. I was trying to get to know him, and I didn't want to write him off too soon. So, but after the third date, I let him know that I just wanted to be friends.
The third date, when was that you went on the third date?
It would have been in March, and we went rock climbing.
I
And
think
where
the
was the place
state
that you
will
went rock
provide us
The-
with
The Phoenix
an
Rock Gym
accurate
in
timeline
And
in
was this also starting at 7:30 or did
in this
this
trial,
start at a different
so I
time?
don't want to
I don't
predate
recall
that because
exactly,
I have no
but
idea
I would
what's
assume it would have been
coming next.
early
I-
evening, 7.
I believe there's
And-
also a timeline online. I'll see if I could find it and post it in the chat.
Again, just
Yep.
a couple of hours, just,
And again, at any time during this date, did he make any sexual advances towards you?
none,
Did he attempt to kiss you as the date was done?
no.
Did he attempt to kiss you when he first saw you?
Nobody is trying to kiss this
Attempt to
woman
kiss
after
you
their
not on the
dates.
lips,
Does
but
that say
like
something
the
about this
forehead
woman?
or something.
No,
During this date, is that when you, after this date or during this date, is that when you let him know that perhaps he's not for you?
after the date, yes, I let
How
him.
did you do that?
I don't remember if it was through a phone or in person, but I let him know that, I just wanted to be friends.
But it was verbal, but
It was verbally.
Okay. And is that what you said? I just want to be friends, or did you say anything else?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a
exactly what I
timeline of
said.
the
I don't remember.
What was his
factual
reaction
events.
to you telling him?
I'm going to do a timeline of the
He
trial as
understood,
well.
and he actually thanked me for telling him.
He actually what?
Thanked me for telling him directly, so that he knew where he stood. And he was respectful about the whole thing. So.
Did he ever tell you why he thought you and he would make a good match or anything like that, or no?
No.
So after that, did you continue to stay in contact with him or not?
Yes, we continued on being friends, and
How did that manifest itself? How did you keep in touch with him?
we would continue to see each other at church. I started a book and film club.
What?
A book and film club.
Okay.
So our first meeting we had at his house. He had a movie projector, and it was, a fun friendship. And
And at any time during this friendship, as it went along, did he ever, berate you in any way?
no, I'm not sure what the ratings are.
Okay. Did he at any time scream at you, that sort of thing?
No,
Where do you work at now?
I work for JP Morgan Chase.
And have you attended college?
Yes,
Where did you graduate from?
Brigham Young University.
Where?
Brigham Young, BYU.
And
Yeah, that
With
was just me
regard to
trying to
the
post the same link in my chat,
Mormon
so my
faith,
chat has
what
the
is
same
their belief
availability
with regard
to the
to
timeline.
sexual contact before marriage?
It's a very serious sin, and one that you could lose your good standing in church for. You could even become excommunicated for it.
What does excommunicated mean?
In the church, a member in good standing holds callings where they, do service for other ward members, other people. They attend the temple.
Okay.
Being excommunicated means that you lose your privileges to be able to do those, and you lose your member records. You're no longer a member of the church. To become a member again, you would have to repent, go through a process, be rebaptized.
These rules that you've been describing to me, do they apply differently? Or they apply differently to somebody who has joined the church later in life as opposed to somebody like you who has always been in the church?
Objection, foundation, this is expert testimony.
Overruled, you may answer if you know.
Okay. So if I understand you, do they apply differently depending on how long you've been in the church?
Right, whether or not you converted later on in life.
No, they apply the same to every person.
So
If you use a
in this
VPN, you can
issue of
change
excommunication, what is that?
location to the United States, and then
It's
the
where you
link
lose
will work.
basically your
I'll try to
names
put
are taken
something
off the
together
records of the church.
that's
You're no longer a
accessible
member
for
of the
all
church.
of our
So
audience.
you can still come to church, but in order to become a member again, you have to go through a repentance process. Stop doing what you're doing. Repent between you and the Lord, and there's different steps that you have to go through that. And then in order to come back to the church, you need to be rebaptized to the church.
This repentance process, and again, in your knowledge, does it mean that, for example, you can engage in sexual intercourse today, go repent tomorrow, engage in sexual intercourse tomorrow, repent tomorrow, and keep doing that? Is that what this is what we're talking about? Or is it something different from that?
No, I mean, you would have to give up that sin completely. It's something you would have to change in yourself. You can't, no, you would not be able to do that.
So, for example, if the defendant were engaged in sexual intercourse and it was outside of marriage, would she potentially face this excommunication if she were to order church?
Objection and cause for speculation and that's expert testimony.
Sustained as phrased.
Ma'am, you're familiar with the process, aren't you?
Yes,
Does it apply to everybody?
it does.
And how long have you been schooled in the practices as to what leads to excommunication?
Ever since, we're taught as children the things right and wrong, the commandments of God, we're taught to obey, and we know, and I was born in the church, so since I was a child, I've been taught these things.
So if an individual, for example, is a female and engages in sexual intercourse, are they subject to the same sanctions, i.e. excommunication?
Yes,
So gender has nothing to do with whether or not there's going to be a punishment for this, right?
that's correct.
So it isn't, so if two people engage in this act of sexual intercourse, they're in there independently, right?
Right.
The issue of,
That's weird questioning because she is not an elder. And even if she's familiar with the process, I'm not sure this is the correct witness for it.
No, I don't think so either. But I think they're trying to get in as whatever they can with her, judicial economy and all that.
Yeah. And maybe they didn't get an elder to testify.
Perhaps. But if she has knowledge, she's essentially running groups. She's running wards, right? The adult or middle adult thing. So I feel like one of the objections was foundation. And then the judge clarified the question, if you know, which is kind of getting at the foundational thing. And they could get it in, but it's probably not the best of witnesses for this.
repenting. How do they repent? How does somebody repent in a Mormon church? You may have mentioned something about a bishop. Explain to me what we're talking about there.
Okay. To repent of a sin, you need to take certain steps. Confession. You need to stop doing it. You need to usually sacrifice or give something up. So every Sunday, if you're in good standing, you can partake of the sacrament. And so you yourself wouldn't want to decide, like an individual can't decide exactly what steps they have to go through. It's they have to go to a bishop, which is the church, the leader of the congregation of each ward. It's a congregation. They have to go to the bishop, confess their sin. The bishop is, a volunteer, someone who's called, we believe he's called of God and has inspiration from God to help them work through their repentance process. So if they have an addiction or, they need help and they need to seek professional counseling or something, they will help them get into that. But it's a very, what's the word? It's very private that, the bishop does not talk about what they've done with anyone else. It's very, yeah. So that's what the bishop
All
is.
right. Now, so you then have this third date with Mr. Alexander. After that, you
7:30 p.m.
You need to communicate with him, right?
Yeah.
And what was the methods that you guys communicated? Phone,
Yeah, just like friends, like through phone, text. I would hear from him almost every day through a phone call, a text. I would or see him or an email. He was very interested in becoming good friends, and so he was working on that. And I had a good time with him, and I was having fun. So it wasn't anything.
Did there come a time that he asked you to go somewhere?
Yes. Mhm.
And where is it that he asked you to go?
He asked me to go to Cancun with him. He won a trip.
All right, when you say you want a trip, who did you win the trip with?
Oh, this is the woman that was supposed to go
You know
to
who you work for?
Cancun,
I don't.
Oh,
just
So
as
when was
friends.
his trip and he asked you to go with him? When did he ask you to go with him?
yeah, because you always go to Mexico
In
with
May,
a friend in the same
sometime
room,
in May.
and yeah.
2008?
Yes, of 2008.
But what I gather is that this
You
is the
told me
woman
now,
that
or
Jodi
before,
became
that
extremely
you really
jealous
didn't
of.
like him, there weren't any
Okay.
sparks there.
And she's
You okay to
there
go with him?
to testify.
Yes.
No,
Immediately when
Travis
he asked you
wasn't
or not?
jealous
Well,
when
when
I
he
said
first
to
asked
him,
me, I told him I wanted to
sorry,
think about
this
it.
isn't working out.
I was concerned, just because I knew he did like me a little bit more than I liked him. I was just friends, but also he let me know that we would be staying with the family, an LDS family, and I would be sharing a room with one of their daughters, a little girl. And it was at a place where I had been to several times before. So I felt comfortable. I knew Travis and I knew myself. I knew nothing, would happen. Plus, he told me that it was free. Everything was free. So after I thought about it for a while, I agreed to go because it sounded like a lot of fun.
So how much time elapsed between the time that he asked you and the time that you said, yeah, I'll go with you?
Probably just a couple of days.
And generally, do you have any idea when that would have been? I know you said May, but you refine it a little bit more or not?
Beginning of May. I don't know exactly what day.
And did you then continue having more or less contact with him, or just continue having contact as before, where he would either call you or you'd see him?
Yeah, I mean, we would see each other at church. We went on a church camp out for the singles ward. We went on a camp out.
Where did you go for this camp out?
It was up near Payson.
And did Travis go?
Yeah.
And do you know if he went with anybody or just a bunch of singles?
Just a bunch of singles.
Was
We
that
drove
in
up
May?
in separate cars. Yeah.
And I've got to ask, I guess, about the sleeping arrangements. Did everybody sleep in the separate?
Girls and guys were separated. Yeah. So girls had cabins. Guys slept outside, either in tents or there was a platform where they could.
And during that time, how long were you in Mr. Alexander's presence? In other words, that he was around you?
During the camp out?
Yeah, how long was the camp out, I guess?
That was just like a night and a day. So like a Friday night, and we hung out Saturday, drove home Saturday.
And was there ever any indication that Mr. Alexander was involved with any of the women there, chasing them around or anything like that?
No.
There ever any indication that he was saying anything inappropriate to any women there?
No.
So the time for the
Nicola,
trip
you're not
approaches,
behind.
correct?
This is the first witness, so
And
we're
did
all
you
coming
continue to
at
have
this
contact
fresh.
with him?
Yes. Up until about a week before we found him, I spoke to him.
And do you have an idea about the date that you actually, was about the last time that you talked to him?
It would have been, so we found him on June 9th, the evening of June 9th, and I remember seeing him the Monday before that, which would have been the 2nd.
Okay,
June 2nd.
so a week before you saw him, and after that, did he continue to email you or not, or did he just go silent?
He just went silent.
So the trip is approaching, and you're not hearing from him. Do you do something on July 9th?
June 9th.
I'm sorry, June 9th, correct.
Yeah, so I went to our family home evening group, just normal.
Is this the singles group again?
Yes,
Okay, and about what time did that start?
7:30,
And how long did it last?
about till 8:30.
And then what did you do?
A friend of mine had just had surgery, so I went to visit with her. In the meantime, I had tried calling and texting him because I didn't see him at church on Sunday. We were supposed to go on this trip the next day, and I hadn't heard from him, so I texted him. He didn't respond, and then he wasn't at the family home evening group, so I started to become worried, and decided after I visited my friend that I would go to his house.
Okay, and did you go to his house?
Yes, on the way to his house, I started getting really worried because I called and it went straight to voicemail. I called and had my mom on the other line just because
Jung's comment. I don't think we should pull it up, but
I
it's
was
hilarious
scared
in the
that
chat.
something might be happening to him because I knew that he had a stalker.
So at least you had heard he had a stalker, correct?
Yes,
or no?
yes.
And so you were afraid when you went over there, and that's why you had your mom on the line.
Yeah, I had suspicions that something
Right.
was going on.
So you had suspicions. So what happened, about what time do you get over there?
This would probably be right around 9:30.
All right, and explain to me what happens when you get there.
I pulled up and there was a car in the driveway. I didn't know whose car it was. There was a light on upstairs. And I went to the door and knocked on it. Nobody answered. The dog jumped up on the door and looked.
Do you know the dog's name?
Napoleon.
And what's the color of the dog?
The color?
Yeah.
White and black.
All right. Is it a bigger or smaller dog?
It's just a tiny little dog.
All right. And so this dog is there. Explain to me what the dog's doing when you're knocking on the door.
He looked really upset and he was jumping at the door and barking.
And how long were you there trying to get into the house?
Just, a couple of minutes. I banged on the door, rang the doorbell over and over again. Nobody answered. So my mom and my sister were on the other line with me, and my sister suggested I call somebody that Travis knew to see if they had seen him around.
And who's this person that was suggested to you?
She just suggested I call a friend. So I called Michelle Lowry, a friend of Travis's, a mutual friend of ours.
All right, so you call Michelle, and you and she agree on how to proceed. What to do?
Yeah, so she decided to call Travis's her best friend, which was her ex-boyfriend. And I ran home because I lived really close by to see if he had emailed me or Facebook messaged me.
And had he?
No, he had not.
What did you do?
I tried to send him a message. I later found out that it went to the wrong Travis, but I tried to send him a message on that.
And so you went home, you did that, and then what happened?
Okay, and so then at that point, Michelle and I went and met at his house again. Michelle brought her boyfriend, and she was on the other line with Travis's best friend. And so her boyfriend went and knocked on the door again, rang the doorbell. I mean, he was pounding on the door.
And when this was going on, what was the dog doing?
Barking at the door.
All right. And how long did this go on, this pounding, this banging?
A minute or two.
Yeah.
Were you
Apparently.
able to see from the outside whether or not any lights were on inside?
It was the same as when I had drove up.
Yes,
the
he
first
did.
time.
And then he claimed, or at least the state's claiming, that she was stalking him.
All right. Then what happened?
So his friend, Travis's friend on the phone, suggested that we go in through the garage and look for him in the house. And he had the garage code, so he
So
gave
the
it to me.
person on the phone who was talking to him?
Michelle was talking to him.
That Michelle was talking to had the garage access code,
Yes,
and that was given to Michelle.
yes.
So what happens then?
We opened
Yes.
the garage and his car and bike were there,
What kind of car?
a Prius.
Then what happened?
I'm sorry.
That's not a car. That's a berry picker without the handle. Just open the trunk and
What kind of car was it? I didn't hear.
a Prius.
Oh, that's not a car. Yeah.
So we went into the house
Okay.
through the garage door.
And what is the first room that you came to?
The laundry room. There was a washer and dryer right to our right,
Did any of you look at those?
and just noticed that it was a washer and dryer.
That means you're walking in straight, so to speak, right?
Right.
Pick
mhm.
priceless out of the grill of my car.
What happened then?
His office was, so after we turned left, his office was on the right-hand side and the door was shut. and the friend on the other line suggested that we open the door. So we opened the door slowly. The light was out, but his laptop was on his desk. It was open, but like in a sleep mode. The little light on it was flashing.
Is she in the apartment or the house, or is she at his office?
What happened there?
Well,
There
went
was
through
a
the
bathroom on
garage
the left
into
side, and I
the
looked
house,
inside the
I guess.
bathroom and
So she's the one that finds the
inside
body.
the shower to make sure no one was hiding in the shower.
Oh, yeah.
And did you find anything?
No.
Where did you guys go after that?
We went straight, which led us into a like family area. It's a family room area, a kitchen, and there was a vacuum cleaner right in the middle of the floor.
Okay, thank you.
Did you see whether or not it was plugged in, or it was just in the middle of the floor?
It was just in the middle of the floor.
What happened then? Well, at this point, is the dog with you guys now, or?
The dog like came up to us and had run back and forth. When we first walked in, it smelled really bad, and so I assumed that the dog had an accident.
Apparently.
So he was, the dog was with us.
Okay, then what happened?
Then we went up the stairs. So we, peeked our head into the other room, it was all pretty open, and no one was in the front room. So we went up the stairs, and his bedroom.
I don't
is
hate
As you're
fires.
going
It's
upstairs, did
just
you
I
notice
don't
whether or
think
not
of
there
it
was
as
any
a
odor?
car.
It just was throughout the whole house. I noticed it when we first walked into.
Yeah,
the
I
house.
can always blame
smelled
my
it, and then
accent when
it
I
was
blur out
always
stuff.
there.
Okay, and then walking up the stairs, what happens?
So we walked up the stairs, and
Yeah, she's the real murderer,
the way
right,
the
Grant?
house is set,
Plot twist.
at the very top of the stairs
Plot
to the
twist.
left was his bedroom door, and it's a double door.
Well,
type
that
thing,
kind of
but it was shut
disappeared
and
with
it's
the
locked.
defense
We
opening
tried to go
statement.
in there, but it was locked.
Did you guys knock at that door too, or not?
Yeah, we knocked on the door.
How did you know that was his room?
From the book and film club that we had, the movie theater is just right there. So his bedroom's there, movie theater's there, and he had, when we were all there, he'd shown us his room.
All right, then, so now you're at this door, it's locked, what do you guys do?
What's a Nevs?
The boyfriend of my friend Michelle was there, and he heard
I
music,
don't know what
and
that
he went
is,
over
sorry.
to the door. Well, he went over to the door where there was music coming out. It was a different bedroom in the house, and he knocked on the door, and a roommate came out.
And what happened then?
We told him that we couldn't find Travis. We
Oh.
were worried. He found a key
Sweden
to his
has
bedroom.
its own electric
and,
vehicle.
He and the boyfriend went into
Okay.
the bedroom.
About what time was this now?
Probably around 10.
Right.
Oh, really?
Did you go
I
into
had
that
no
bedroom when
idea.
they went in or not?
No, Michelle and I stayed
I
outside
guess
of
I
the
like
bedroom.
one electric car
um,
now.
At first, they walked in and they were looking. So they were right in front of us, and they were looking kind of this way. And
The roommate thing has always been
so
weird
at
in this
first I was
case.
following their gaze through the crack of the door because I
Okay.
could see the room through the crack of the door. And then as soon as they said that they saw blood, that there's blood everywhere, I stopped looking.
Yeah,
And
a
then
lot
they
of
went
blood
further into the room.
smells.
And did they eventually come out, or was it a short stint
That's weird.
inside, or was it long? Were they in there a long time?
It didn't seem very long. They went in, and then the roommate ran out and said, he's dead, he's dead. And so immediately I called the police and ran downstairs and out the front door so that I could get the address of the house.
All right. After this, was there some sort of service for Mr. Alexander here in the Mesa area?
Yeah, just a few days later, there was a memorial service for
Do you
him.
remember what day of the week it was?
I don't remember exactly. It would have been a Thursday, I would assume, because this was a Monday night. So
Right.
Wednesday, Thursday.
When I asked about the memorial service, was the body there or not? At the
No.
memorial service?
No,
No, it was just a memorial service then?
yeah.
And where was this service held?
This was at the church building where we went to church every Sunday. In
That was
Mesa,
a jump in
it's
testimony.
off Guadalupe and the 202 area.
And while you were there, well, when did it start?
Oh.
What time?
Thank you, Wild Red,
I don't remember
1905.
exactly. In the evening, 7.
Welcome back.
7 o'clock.
And were there a lot of people there?
You're moving ahead with super
Yes,
chats,
there were.
and
And of all the people that were there, was
Yeah.
there somebody by the name
but it's
of
not a
Jodi
competition.
Arias?
Yes,
Just
And
saying.
is the person that you knew as Jodi Arias, is she in court today?
yes.
Tell me where she is seated and what she is wearing.
She's seated over there at the end of the table, and I can't see her clearly, but she's wearing black and she has dark hair.
Is she at the extreme end?
Yes,
Your Honor, may the record reflect the identification of the defendant?
Yes.
So you see the defendant there, and do you go up to her or does she go up to you?
she came up to me and introduced herself to me.
What did she say?
She said, "Are you Mimi Hall?" I go by Mimi. That's my
All right.
name. And I said yes. And she introduced herself as Jodi Arias.
And did she say anything else?
I asked her how she was doing, and she said she was upset. And so that was about it, though.
Did at any time she say, "I'm the person who killed him" or anything like that?
No.
Did she ever tell you why she was there?
No.
I don't have anything else, thank you.
Cross-examination.
She didn't admit to you during the visitation or the viewing that she murdered him. Why? You know, how suspicious of her.
Classes you can take there. I'm taking their.
I don't know, just weird. Weird question. Weird kind of final question to end on. So, established a few things. She's not a sexual predator, although no man that she goes on a date with is trying to kiss this woman. And she was essentially one of the people there that found him dead.
Yeah, one of the people, because apparently the roommate went in and then ran out, and he is dead. And then all of a sudden they changed to, I don't know, the testimony, the questioning just changed after that, or did
Well,
I
I mean, I think the relevant information this woman has is that we went in, we knocked, we found the body.
Yeah.
I called 911, and then she probably, gave a statement to police and left, and that was about it of her relevant information. So why would you go into any more of that detail? What you have then is her then interacting with Jodi at the funeral home. So you could just kind of skip forward and jump to that. So I'm not too terribly concerned. It was a bit jarring the way he did it, but I'm not concerned with the fact that he did it.
And apparently the sound is David is at a family gathering of sorts, so that's the sound in the background, is the family being family, I guess.
Yep, that's right. I'm on the porch and they're all around me, just gathering like moths.
Okay, so that was the direct questioning. And now it is time for cross-examination of this first witness. Let's see what this leads to.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Hall.
Yeah, I'm also confused about the roommate.
I want to
Was he
begin,
away?
if I
Wasn't he
heard
away?
correctly, when you were talking to counsel for the state, you advised him you were 33 years old, right?
Yes.
Okay. And if I also heard you correctly, you said you were, I believe the phrase you used was born into the church.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you went to Brigham Young University.
Yes.
And that is a institution supported by that church, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. What I wanted to do to begin with is just talk to you a little bit about, the state asked you a little bit about the structure of the church, the repentance process, everything of that nature. I kind of want to talk a little bit about that first of all, okay?
Okay.
Okay. You mentioned to us that there were various wards that the church is broken down to. Is that correct?
Various wards, is that what?
Wards, yes, I'm sorry.
Yes.
The
that's
mic
correct.
is low
Yeah.
and I'm tall, so if you have trouble hearing me, please let me know.
Okay, yes, that's correct.
Okay. And you said that those are geographical boundaries that determine a particular ward, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe what you also told us was that you weren't aware of how those boundaries were drawn.
Not exactly. I just know that it's for convenience sake, they try to get, the boundaries done so that you can get to a ward that's close by to you.
Okay. And do you know if any ward boundaries overlap
Yep,
at
yes,
all? Do you have
that's
any
exactly
knowledge of
how
that?
born into religion.
Sometimes, yeah, I've heard of that.
Okay. And, are there?
Thank you, Indigo.
Does
Well,
each
no,
ward
that's
contain
not
one
Nicholas's.
church, or do sometimes
But you
wards
gave me
contain
one
more
too,
than
so I'll
one
say
church?
thank you for mine too.
Do you mean like a building, a ward building?
Yeah,
Or-
a church of services.
Oh,
where-
is she
Yeah.
still single?
So we have
Probably,
church
this woman,
buildings,
yes.
and usually you will have up to 3, maybe 5 wards will meet there every Sunday.
And I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
So yes, in each church building, several wards will meet there every Sunday. So they're divided into 3-hour service blocks.
Okay,
And so, some ward will start at 8 o'clock and go to 11. Another ward will come in from 11:30 to, and so on, so
Okay.
throughout the day.
I see. Okay. And when you talk about your wards, where you talked about single and family ward, and I believe you told us that the year where you cross over to that is 31 years old from you moved as single to a family?
Yes, that's right.
And so the wards aren't necessarily tied to a particular church, they're just tied to that particular area. Is that correct?
The single, I guess I don't understand your question.
Okay, and maybe I didn't phrase it very well, but the wards aren't tied to maybe one particular church within that ward. It could be, it's a bigger area, I guess is my point.
The ward building, yeah, so is, you'll have different, so the ward building isn't tied to one single ward boundary. So
Okay.
you'll have different wards within a geographical area, and so you'll have maybe, I don't know, you'll have several wards within what we call a stake. And so that's how the church is kind of set up. So you have an individual ward, but throughout the entire church, you have stakes, and then you have regions, and then you have, different countries, and so all the way through the whole church.
And did you say, just so I want to make, did you say stakes or states?
Stakes,
Okay.
like STAK.
And that is, a stake in your church is more than one ward?
Right.
It's a group, collection of wards?
Right.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right.
Oh, that's where the
When you
vampires came from,
started
maybe.
talking
They heard about the
with
stakes.
Mr. Martinez about, he asked you about the repentance process and excommunication. You recall that discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you that. Let me begin by asking you this, because we've talked a little bit about wards. Is there one particular person that's in charge of a ward, or is there several?
So you have a bishop who's basically in charge of the spiritual, temporal well-being of a ward, of the congregation.
Okay.
And then, like I said earlier, you have several wards within a stake. Then you have a stake president who's kind of over all of the wards, who, make sure that the bishops are able to meet the needs of the individual ward members. And there are other callings within the church. So you have a relief society.
Nice. I like that. We could do a bracket system. That would be amazing.
In the wards,
Okay.
and so on. So it's just set up so that people's needs are being met spiritually, temporally. And you have a bishop and a stake president.
All right. Thank you. Now, if I understood you correctly as well, if one of, and I don't even know, members of the ward, that'd be the correct term? Or is it
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
One of the members of the ward were to do something that was sanctionable or a sin or whatever word you want to put on it.
Mhm.
And forgive me if I'm using the wrong word, the punishment would be decided upon by that bishop. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It depends on, the sin, what exactly happened. Sometimes they go to So like the bishop will determine if they need to meet with a disciplinary council, which might be held of, like, it might be the bishop and his counselors, or it might be even the stake president, their counselors, things like that. But yes, the individual and the bishop meet together and decide, you know, they
I'm not
kind of
sure where he's going with the
work together through
cross-examination.
the repentance process. He's someone who's very loving and open and helpful, and, you know, there to help out. So
Okay. So you say loving and helpful, it's not, in your mind anyway, an act of condemnation that the bishop would put upon a person who said that they sin.
no,
Maybe trying to show that
Yeah,
Jodi would be
the-
fearful of
the-
going to the church with these allegations, and that's
the
why
judging, you know,
nobody knew
they
about
kind of
the abuse she was
kind of
facing.
act as far as like
Yeah.
what needs to be done. They help determine, you know, what the repentance
Thank you
process
so much,
steps will
Indigo.
be. But the
Much
ultimately, the
appreciated.
judging is
Hi.
between, you know, God and the individual and their own repentance. You know, and where their heart is and what they do. I don't know, you know, the exact intricate details of it. I haven't had
Okay.
to go into that. And I haven't really talked to anybody who has gone through that
Okay. So.
about that.
Oh, okay. If I understand you correctly, then the way you phrased it, that ultimately in your church, God would be the ultimate judge of the sin, but the bishop would
Thank you, Bifrons. And yes,
detail out a repentance
you can
process.
open up a
Yeah.
separate tab
Okay.
for my stream, since we are dual streaming
Now-
this. So we both get
And you may have
numbers
already
and
alluded to, you kind of
likes,
mentioned you
and
didn't
that
know the
promotes
intricate
us to the
details
rest
of
of
this,
the
but
YouTubes. Thank you.
if someone in the church had sinned and another member knew about it, would they be obligated to tell the bishop? How would that work?
If it were something that were, you know, putting someone in danger, you know, if like, let's say it was abuse or something, yeah, I would feel like that person would be obligated to tell somebody what was happening. But it's if, you know, it's up to the individual to go in and talk to the bishop. If it's blatant and open, usually the bishop will probably call them in and
Okay.
ask to talk to them. But yeah, it's between the individual, and it's up to them, you know, when they feel like they need to repent,
Oh,
to
Thank
go and make
you,
an
Wendy,
appointment
for
with their
gifting
bishop.
5
Okay.
memberships.
So if someone is
To
sinning
Kitty,
and nobody else
Dee,
knows about it,
Rachel Hope,
the
Stars
bishop
Hollow,
wouldn't necessarily
and
have a
Harry
mechanism
Peter.
to find out unless
Welcome
that person
to the
showed
member.
the person who was committing the sin.
There are
chose
videos
to go
for you,
address it with their bishop.
for
Is that
members
what you're
only.
telling me?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Oh, probably not.
There's-
It would be the obligation really, because there's no mechanism in place. For example, you said, well, if somebody's safety was in jeopardy, you might feel compelled to talk to your bishop, right?
Yeah, or an authority
Okay.
figure, yeah, like a
Right.
police officer or something.
But I guess what I'm saying, it sounds to me like in your church, if somebody was sinning, it would be incumbent upon them they would be expected perhaps to go talk to the bishop. They're
Yeah.
the ones that are supposed to deal with that, not anyone else.
Yeah, I mean, that's what true repentance is if someone feels bad about what they're doing and they want to stop, they will make that call. They'll, you know, get on their knees, repent, go and talk to the bishop, and go start the repentance process.
Okay.
They can't just say, oh, I'm sorry, I won't do this again. You know, if it's a serious sin, they can't just say,
Right.
okay, I'm never going to do this again, I'm fine. You know, and then tomorrow do it again. You know, that's not truly repenting, if that makes sense. Repenting is changing your ways.
Okay.
So.
Let me ask you, because you just mentioned the seriousness of a sin.
Mhm.
How serious within the scope of your church or the dictates of your church is the sin of premarital sex?
It's very serious.
That's
like I
why
said before, you can
Mormons
be
aren't big
excommunicated
in
for it.
Sweden.
I mean, so you have.
Let me ask you this way. Is there a list? Is there a hierarchy, or is it just very serious?
Okay, well, there's a scripture so that, that teaches that the most severe sin would be to deny the Holy Ghost and to commit murder.
Okay.
Next in line would be fornication, adultery, sexual immorality.
Okay.
And that's
So
very
it's
serious. So
number 2 or 3 on the list. Number 3 on the list
yeah,
that you told us,
so-
right? Okay, that makes sense. So it's really high up there. It's a big deal.
mhm,
Okay. And like you said, that could lead to excommunication if someone found out,
yes.
correct?
Mhm.
Okay. Let me kind of step back a bit, and I want to ask you about a few phrases or things prominent in your church. Could you describe for us what the term temple worthy means?
Someone who holds a temple recommend.
Pretty
someone
much.
who's been
That's what
gone
it sounds
through their
like.
Bishop and gone through an interview.
Yeah.
And also to the stake president and had an interview with them. And there's a series of questions, which questions are just to find out if they're obeying the commandments of God. So, and are active members in the church. So they show up to church on Sunday, they partake of the sacrament, they are repenting when they, make mistakes. They are serving in their calling. So it's just to see their level basically of commitment to the Lord in their church.
So
She's
she's
roughly-
running an or. Oh yeah, I was gonna
To
say
your
she's
knowledge,
somewhere in her
was
late
Travis
20s, early
Alexander
30s, because that's the
temple
group
worthy?
she's running.
For your church?
I didn't know.
I believe they
Never mind.
asked her and they
Okay.
said she was
Let me ask you
33
about
at the time of
term
this
priesthood
trial.
holder. What does that mean?
So she's the same age
So
as
priesthood holder is basically
Jodi Arias.
I bet she
So,
didn't age as
at the
well
age
as
of
Jodi
12,
did.
A young boy receives the priesthood. So, and there's different levels of priesthood power and keys. But it's essentially somebody that holds the power to give blessings.
I have no
It's
idea.
power ordained to them through God.
Okay.
And so
I can't explain that.
So
It's-
in order to have that,
Unless
you have to.
unless the roommate was away for the entirety and just came back.
Well, I have a teenage boy, and I walk into his room, and it stinks to high heaven, but it doesn't necessarily smell downstairs. Also, if the roommate is like my teenage boy, and his room just stinks, period, he might not think anything of a smell coming through. So, there's a lot of situations. It's just kind of odd that, to me, it's not so much the smell of the decomposition. It's that you don't hear from this guy for several days you're supposedly living with, and you think nothing of it. That's kind of the more of the, what's going on here?
Yeah. And I see in your chat they are discussing Dani. No, Dani does not practice
Yeah,
LDS.
I think she's still a member, but she doesn't practice. And I think Jeff no longer is a member, but they were both raised in the religion.
Yeah.
I want to qualify that with I have no idea, and I might be misstating the facts there. My teenage boy isn't dead, no, but sometimes it stinks like he is.
Make sure you are maintaining a worthy, clean, pure lifestyle. And it's essentially, it's a way to serve people in the church by giving blessings of healing.
Okay, I trust Valhalla.
Comfort.
Yeah, he's probably got better information than I do.
And they also bless the sacrament with it, and they use that also in the temple.
Okay.
No, it's not.
And you said boys do women become
So
priesthood
Dani
holders
describes
in your
herself
church?
as having
No.
fled a cult to form a new one.
And to your knowledge, was Mr. Alexander a priesthood holder?
I thought he was, so yeah, I don't know for sure though. I thought he was.
Okay. And what do you base that knowledge on?
The fact that he was going to church. I hadn't ever heard he had been excommunicated.
Well,
When
then
you're
it should have
excommunicated,
smelled,
then you lose your priesthood
unless
power.
it was a ventilator with
so,
a filter, that would have
so I
smelled
assumed,
in the entire
since he
neighborhood.
was an active member of the church, he was also a worthy priesthood holder.
Okay. And it sounds to me like you would assume that because no one knew of him committing any of the sins that lead to any sanctions, right?
Right.
Okay. And based on what you said before, it sounds to me like if someone committed one of those, again, the sin of premarital sex, they would lose their temple-worthy status and their status as a priesthood holder. Is that right?
Right.
Okay.
Typically, yeah.
Okay. I want to talk
I
to you
can never
now
be
a little bit
LDS.
about Mr. Alexander himself.
Me and
your
girlfriend, we aren't
relationship
married.
with him, okay?
Okay.
Alcohol,
In a moment, Judge.
coffee, and one of my stashes of cigars. Yeah, I can't be LDS.
I'm going to hand you for the record a copy of Exhibit 254, just for the record. And Ms. Hall, as I hand you that, do you
I had
recall
to get a new beer.
some time ago? And
You're
I
introducing
certainly recall it.
new
Jack,
evidence,
you and I
but
sat down and had a
it's
conversation
audio only.
about your relationship with Mr. Alexander.
I don't remember the exact date, but yes, you and Mr. Martinez were there.
Okay. I just wanted to just talk to you about some of those things, and if you have trouble kind of remembering some of the things you said, I've put that exhibit there just so you could refresh your recollection if need be, okay?
Okay, do we, so this is a transcript of the
Yes, ma'am.
recording that you
Yes,
made?
ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
it is. Okay. One of the things you told us that day was that you said you knew Travis for about a year at the time before his death. Is that about right?
I knew who he was
Well,
when
okay.
Dorian Shadable
moved
kind of
into the
went
ward
off the
in
rails and formed a
July,
cult.
August, I would think. And so the first
And,
Sunday I went there,
But
he
yeah,
gave
they
a talk
originated
in church.
in
So I knew who
LDS.
he was, but we didn't officially meet until later.
Okay. And do you remember how old you were when you moved into the ward?
That would have been almost 5 years, 5.5 years ago, I guess.
Okay.
So 27, 28.
Okay. All right. And one of the things I believe you told us then, and what you told Mr. Martinez this afternoon, was that, and ma'am, I'll just ask you questions. If you need to refer back, go ahead and let me know, okay?
That's an
That
interesting
you
description.
two, you and Mr. Alexander began dating in February 2008, correct?
That would,
And that was an approximate time. I'm
Yeah.
not holding to a specific date. Okay. And those dates in February 2008, those were the dates that you described to Mr. Martinez a few moments ago. Is that right?
yeah, they were
Okay.
an approximation.
What's that?
Yes, they were an approximation.
Okay. All right. And it sounded to me, and it got a little confusing, and I understand time frames aren't going to be exact this many years ago, but it sounded to me like after those dates, you began dating someone else, correct?
Yeah, so it would have been after the first date, from what I remember.
Okay.
I then began dating someone else. And so again, the exact time, I don't remember other than, guesstimating.
Okay, right, and that's fair. So we're talking February, March-ish of 2008 when this was occurring.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And if I understood you correctly, after that first date with Mr. Alexander, you didn't have any romantic interest, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And after this period of time, you went on this date. You then began dating another individual for a few weeks, I think. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay. And Mr. Alexander,
You're muted.
He's not an idiot. He's just Swedish.
I was wondering if you're going to play that.
Yeah, Brooklyn here is funeral. I remember from an hour ago he said he worked with funerals, but he has worked with in a morgue for 21 years. So he would know, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, from what I hear, I've never been around much of a dead body. But, you know, dead animals, even like under your porch, they stink to high heaven. They cover the entire property. They smell forever. You can smell them in the house.
Mm.
And that's just like, you know, a dead possum that's this big.
Mm. Long from murder until, I believe, 5 days from murder to finding him. And that would set the decomposition in quite heavily if they didn't chill down the room or anything. I believe. But I haven't been around dead bodies either much, but sadly I do know the smell and look of one. But
Had asked you out in a period of time when you were dating this other individual. Is that accurate?
I believe I remember that he tried asking me out and I let him know that I was dating someone else.
Okay. When that period of dating ended with this other individual, not with Travis, but this
Thank you,
other
Farrell.
individual, it sounds to me like you went on other dates with Travis. Is that correct?
Yes, I remember going on 2 more.
And for both it's thanks to Farrah Housewife that our thumbnails look the way they do. Now we did some changes, but it's basically hers.
Yes, it is. Our images as security guards and Jodi Arias in the straitjacket that came from Farrell. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, because I don't know how you extract the head from a photo without the background and stuff like that.
I struggled so bad trying to make something.
Yeah, and I just took her stuff with a different background and added some stuff. But thank you so much, Farrell. Thank you so much. I'm old. Don't sue me.
More dates with him afterward. So.
Okay. And was that the rock climbing wall that you were talking to Mr. Martinez about, or was that something else? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Farrell said she got to look at a picture of you in a bathtub for the image.
And when, if you could tell us perhaps in relation, and the last date you went on with Mr. Alexander was to the rock climbing wall, is that right?
You went way back into my Facebook account. That is a good number of years
with
ago.
That, I'm not holding you to
I was smoking a cigar in my bathtub.
Do you remember how long,
someone thought it was a good idea to take a picture of me.
Elapsed between that last date,
but no nudity, because the bathtub hides
Not
it.
Exactly. I don't remember the exact time.
2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I would think it would have been in March, maybe April, the beginning of April, when we went rock climbing. And then he asked me to go with him in Cancun, I believe sometime in May, the beginning of May.
Okay.
So again, I don't remember the exact day when that happened, but.
In between your date at the rock climbing wall and your trip to Cancun, or him asking you to go to Cancun, excuse me, did he ask you out other times?
Yeah, I had let him know that we would just be friends, that I wasn't interested in going out with him anymore.
Okay.
So that I just wanted to be friends. So he might have asked me out one other time and I let him know, that no, I don't really have any interest.
My reaction to Nancy Grace. Yeah.
And this was after
then
the rock climbing wall that you kind of gave him the friends talk, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the super chat, Soul Souffle.
And then it was sometime after you told him you just wanted to be friends that he asked you to go to Cancun,
Mhm.
right? Okay. And I remember you told Mr. Martinez that you didn't say yes right away. You thought about it for a few days, right?
Yeah, I remember thinking about it and asking my mom, if it was a good idea, and coming to the conclusion that, since he wasn't paying for any of it, that it was a place that I've been to
Not
with my own
unnecessary
family and felt very
information
comfortable
in it,
with this place.
but maybe it
I
shows
knew
up
how fun it
later on.
was,
I don't know.
and the fact that we were going with the family and we were staying in totally separate rooms. I felt very comfortable going with my friend to Cancun.
Can you pause it
Did
for a
you,
second?
and I get the sense from the fact that you didn't accept right away that you might have been surprised by his asking you to go to, it's a difference to go to a rock climbing wall in town to go to Cancun, right? Was that a bit of a surprise to you?
Well, at that point, we were, closer friends at that point.
Thank you again,
So
Souffle, for your
I'd given him
$5
the friend
super
talk.
chat.
I was always very upfront, direct with.
Former LDS here. I wildly speculate that the witness is hedging on her self-reported chastity. Yeah, that's always interesting with self-reporting. Oh, I'm pure as snow on a truck parking lot.
Yeah, but it is probably very self-serving, her self-reporting.
Yeah.
Somebody had put in the chat, Tweety, U.S. News did, that's so confused with everything about this witness. So remember, during a trial, every witness is not telling a complete story. Every witness is a puzzle piece. You can't look at one puzzle piece and understand and see the entire picture. So this witness so far dated Travis, or went on a couple of dates with somebody else, was invited by Travis down to the Caribbean on a vacation, but and then all of a sudden kind of disappeared. She ended up going over there, finding the body. That's essentially what this witness said on direct. Cross-examination is going into more the Mormon lifestyle, reporting or trying to examine what the consequences of premarital sex would be. There's allegations of a bunch of kinky premarital sex and things like that. So what they're bringing out on cross-examination right now might seem a little sort of out of place and irrelevant, but there might be a point later on once you start fitting more of the puzzle pieces together. So you're always kind of looking at it from that perspective. At least I am as an attorney.
Yeah. I have nothing to add.
I'm a virgin on Wednesdays. That's awesome to know. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not in evidence. That is speculation on Mad's part. It is allowed to speculate in the chat. Oh. Yeah. Sure.
Well, that's kind of what it sounds like. It's like, it's the most serious of sins, but if you repent, then you're cool. But, someone said even in the chat too, much like Catholics, you can go ahead and do it again the next day. You just got to repent again.
Yeah. Repent. Okay. Do you want me to kneel?
With Travis, he knew that we were just friends. He's a persistent guy, and I think part of him still hoped maybe that I would end up liking him. So I initially thought that that's why, because he was trying to get me to like him, to go with him to Cancun. But again, I gave him the, we're just friends, just tried to make sure everything was on the same level, like he understood where I was at. And he did, and he was really respectful of that, and still wanted me to go with him to Cancun.
And so and I think you said it, but this is prior to you going to Cancun, you kind of reinitiated your statements or your feelings that you just wanted to be friends. You wanted to clarify with him just to make sure.
Yeah, and even a few weeks before, before we went, again, I told him, Travis, maybe you should take somebody else to Cancun with you, and there wasn't anyone else that he wanted to take. So
Okay. Wasn't anyone else he wanted to take? I'm just wondering, did the time you were seeing him and going on these dates or anything else, did he tell you he was also dating Jodi Arias?
no, I had no idea.
Okay. Did he tell you that he was having sexual relations with Jodi Arias?
No.
Okay. What he did, it seemingly told you, and I'm not going to ask exactly what he said, but it was during a camping trip, if I recall correctly, that he told you he had a stalker. It was in this camping trip in Prescott. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't say a name at all, but when we were camping, we were having breakfast with a couple of friends.
David has gifted memberships. Yeah, I
I
see
am
that.
muted. Wendy H gifted 5 memberships. Thank you. Toyla Carissa was gifted a membership. Thank you for that. And then also, if you're in the chat, we have some people that are not members that are in the chat, but are not receiving the gifted members. So you need to allow that to happen. And Wendy also posted a link for that. So if you want to gift a membership and you are not a member, check that out and allow gifted membership. So that way you can get the wonderful gift that Wendy posted.
Yeah. And you can also press that. It should be on the top of David's chat. You see gift stuff. If you press that, you also should get to the page where you can allow gifts for his channel.
Baker has the absolute best and inappropriate comments in the chat, by the way.
Yeah. Mads, it's just over the... He's not far away from me, I believe. He's Danish. So, yeah. We're all collected here in the south of Sweden, East Denmark, stuff like that. Yeah. The Copenhagen region, so to speak. Fun fact, the greater Copenhagen region, if you go by Copenhagen and then like 50 miles out, you have almost half of the area of Sweden I live in, the entirety of most of Denmark, and I believe you get up to around 8 million inhabitants. No, sorry, wrong. Around 4 million inhabitants. So the greater Copenhagen area does include Malmö and Helsingborg and stuff like that. So it's, yeah. And it's near to everything, but in Sweden we have expensive beer and alcohol generally, so we go to Denmark. But now the Swedish krona is falling towards the Danish krona and the euro, so stuff is getting cheaper here. Except if you're Swedish, then it's still expensive. Yeah, just a little plug for our little part of the world.
And he told me that at that point that he had a stalker and that she had actually followed us on a date and that she knew who I was. And I told him that was really scary and
Denmark
that he should get a restraining order.
And you say that he didn't say that this was Jodi, right?
No, he didn't say who it was.
Could I draw your attention, if you'd be so kind?
Yes, subscribe to Mo
as
in the
to
Deep
look
End.
at,
She needs
page
subscribers
6
and
of
the
the
numbers up so
transcript.
she can get monetized.
And just read to yourself for a moment.
And
just read to yourself, no, quietly, I'm sorry.
Okay, where?
Page 6, you should begin around line 6 or 7.
Here is her link. Let's see if it works. Yeah, that worked. I don't know why the other one didn't work. Okay. They got silent.
I didn't know if you were pausing it. I don't know what's going on.
No.
This is,
Hey, no,
Oh, there we
I
go.
didn't ask
They're
a question.
back.
If I could approach, Your Honor,
Oh, they were doing a sidebar. Why'd they leave that in?
I'll make sure I have the exact spot.
I just turned the page down.
Oh,
Well, let me ask you
that's
this.
interesting. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton is getting impeached.
And I kind of
Interesting.
interrupted you. You said you gave him the advice that he should seek a restraining order against this stalker, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And you expressed to him that you were scared of this stalker, right?
I'm scared of any stalker. It's it's not something you want to take lightly.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did he ever seek out a restraining order?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay.
He told me not to be afraid.
Okay. And your testimony is he never said to you that Jodi Arias was his stalker. That's your testimony?
That's from what I can remember. I don't remember him ever saying, the time I remember hearing the name Jodi, and it could have been then, but the time I actually recall the name Jodi was the night that we found him at his house.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Hall. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Redirect.
I want to talk to you a little bit more
If
about
Mo
this
is starting
stalker
with her
issue
boxed
and
wine,
what
I
she
need to
told
start a
you
stream after this because I want to keep the Mo
I
discussing
think it was in
something.
Payson.
Mason?
Yeah.
You indicated that part of what he told you
Maybe
was
we should
that
invite her to this
this
stream.
this stalker was a female, right?
Yes.
David, what do you think?
And what had this female done?
Sorry, what was the
that he
question?
warning you about?
If
She
Mo
had-
is opening up her boxed wine,
Overruled.
maybe we should invite her
She had
to
slashed
our
his
stream.
tires several times. She had slashed his,
Sure.
he had dated someone
Yeah.
earlier that year.
Let's have
She had
Tipsy
slashed
Mo on.
her tires.
If
She
she had
had sent
the
threatening
ability,
emails to both
I will.
Travis and his girlfriend of the time. She had followed us on the first date that we went on.
There
She sounded dangerous. She had broken into his email accounts, his bank accounts. She would sneak into his house through the doggy door and sleep on his couch at night without him knowing that she was there. So
And you were dating him, what month of what year?
we went out.
Sorry, you went out what
Yeah.
month of what year?
Like I said, January or February that first time, and then later on, March-ish.
So it could have been from January to March of 2008 that these dates took place then?
Yes. Mhm.
In terms of whether or not Mr. Alexander was temple worthy, do you know whether or not he was temple worthy?
I don't know. I
What-
knew he was in the past because he talked about going to the temple, but when we were hanging out, I didn't know whether he was or not.
And in terms of whether or not he was a priesthood
I don't
holder, you
know
assume that he was,
Cooper.
but you don't really know, right?
Yeah, actually, I'd like to go back. I think he
I'll
had
let,
told, I remember
Matt-
just now when you asked me that I think he had told me that he,
Everybody, say hi to Mo.
Yes, and this is the shirt.
Oh, let's.
Hold my dignity. I've got some sketchy shit to do. And the box wine behind me.
Hi, Mo.
Hello.
How
It's so
are you
strange. My
doing?
house is quiet. I have no idea what the hell to do with myself.
In my place, it's not. It's kind of the reverse.
I don't know where because I let my cat in, but I don't know where he is.
I'm sure we'll
because it's
find him
not-
when he starts attacking your feet.
Yeah, but if he's inside, maybe he found himself or made himself an opening to get out again. I don't know with that cat.
Phrasing.
Phrasing. Yeah, I have my cat Ginger. He jingles. He's a ginger pussy. Phrasing.
We're 2.5
Yeah.
hours in. We're good.
I was about to say, you invited me on. You knew, you saw the ride, still bought a ticket. Y'all knew.
So, actually, there's a comment in the chat I wanted to read. Help me understand how a stalker is invited over for sex. That's part of the issue, is that Travis or the state is claiming that she was stalking him, but all the sort of timeline establishes otherwise, that he was just using her for a little something.
Maybe he's
Yeah.
like me. He's like, cuddling is extra. Get the hell out.
Yeah, very much.
Mr. Mo isn't here, so I
If
can pretend it's true.
If the Lifetime movie is anything to go by, and I know we're
Oh
going
my
to get more,
God.
we're going to get more facts as this
We
case
need to see that
progresses.
on Discord. I'm just saying, I love the Lifetime, the one with oh God, Lori Vallow. It's cringe-tastical. It is just amazing.
Yeah. Didn't she just turn up at his house on the night? Yeah, it might be that she is stalkerish, but she shows up. He's a guy. Oh, okay. Let's Humpty
Yeah.
Dumpty and do the waddly waddly and.
He,
I-
you know,
Yeah, I
okay,
mean, so
then-
she shows up. She's supposedly a stalker and just shows up, but he invites
Yeah.
her in and takes advantage of the situation. That's not what you do if you're seriously concerned about her.
I am always terrified of my stalkers. That's why I invite them all over.
We'll watch the Lifetime movie. We'll do it. I see everyone in
Oh.
the chat. We'll do it in my Discord. By the way, so if you guys are new members, I know Toi La Carosa, whatever.
that
You're a
was
new member. If you go to the membership tab, there's a link to my Discord. It's for members only, and we have a lot of things going on in there. And some of the stuff we do is stream things that we can't otherwise stream on YouTube, such as a Lifetime movie or My Cousin Vinny and other things. We also have daytime trial streams that I can't put on YouTube. So join us over there for that.
You know, it would seem like the thing to do.
How big is the doggy door, or how small is Jodi Arias?
Okay. Again, I don't care if she broke in through the doggy door or he opened the door for her. At the end of the day, he's standing there taking a shower to the point that she can take pictures of him. And he's obviously not pushing her away or calling the police, right?
It says here Jodi Arias is 5'5" and 115 pounds.
She can fit
And
through a
according
doggy
to the
door. There's
DMV,
dogs that
so
are
am
bigger
I.
than her.
My passport only shows my height, and yeah.
So my oldest
And,
daughter went to get her permit, and she's like, okay, well, I don't remember what I weighed. And I was like, no, honey, we all agree to lie to the government about our weight. That's just how it is. So pick a number that you like. Mine hasn't changed since high school. It's a
yeah,
tacit
and,
agreement, or if you're Daryl Brooks, a tacket agreement.
Yeah.
Well, I'm between 6'3" and 6'6", depending on which 7-Eleven I'm leaving, and I'm between 240 and 260, depending on which end of a buffet you find me.
I'm
So-
under tall for my BMI.
I have
Yeah,
no
I
comment.
I should be around 7 feet 2, according to my weight, if my BMI. Yeah.
Listen, I'm retaining Mike and Ike's, and that's all I'm saying.
Malcolm, we are not at the defense already. We are at defense cross-examination of the first witness. We just finished up the defense's opening statement, and now Then we heard the direct on the first witness, and now
So-
we are doing the cross on the first witness.
Why are they asking her technical Mormon questions? She isn't a leader or a priest, or it looks like a bishop.
Because nobody's objecting to it and the court's allowing it. And remember, at the end of the day, all you have to have is personal knowledge of something. You don't have to be the leader of a church. You could say, I grew up in the church. I'm 34, whatever her age is. I spent my entire life in the church in this particular ward of the church, and this is how it operates.
Hey, when you have kids, it is what it is.
And I'm working on my Beachbody 2023, and I will be rescue ball. I don't know.
I was about to say, just sit in one of those saunas. I'm sure some people enjoy sweating.
Yeah.
There's a dog behind me that can make his appearance.
Oh,
hey,
the
doggy.
doggo.
That's Koa, a German Shepherd, not mine.
Mm.
And then there's another dog behind me that.
Does she have a camera? You're going to get stabbed. Live, we never saw this assault happen.
We didn't see that. Nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. At least you said dog and not female dog.
If David somehow automatically clicks out here in a second, we didn't see nothing.
We didn't. We saw nothing. I know nothing.
We will call prepaid legal for your defense.
They'll do a great job.
They'll appoint me.
Yeah, you almost have your law degree sent to you.
I'll have my own little, what is it, my cousin Vinny, where they're like, ma'am, did you really wear that t-shirt? I was like, look, my face is contempt of court. What are you going to do?
No.
The faces I make, though. I can be quiet. My face is all caps.
No, I will not bring a camera and a knife into the shower tonight. That's a really bad idea to wash yourself with a knife.
Can we talk about, if you're going to get into shibari, which is the tying people up, thing, get something other than a curtain tire upper thing. What the hell, dude?
If you're gonna before we get into that, can we get into the fact that Mo knows the technical name for it?
Oh,
as I said, my heart is golden. My Kindle book list needs Jesus, a whole lot of it. To the point that my youngest son is like, Mommy, the books that you read, they never have shirts on it. Are they doing their laundry? I said, very much so. Yes.
You can explain it away all you want. You know the name for it.
I never said I wasn't a freak. I have 6 kids.
That's just awesome.
Mr. Mo said while he was gone, I could not buy a disco ball or stripper pole. But if anyone would like to buy them for me, that goes around the loophole.
I don't know the technical name. I'm going off of what Mo said. I'm just assuming that that's the name.
Yeah.
Listen.
And now I heard loophole, and yeah.
Mo has a lot of books and audiobooks that she doesn't want to be going from not earbud to out loud in the produce section.
Oh.
Bose speaker and my audiobooks will jump to what the kids are listening to. I'm like, no.
Well, you have your books, and David has his Google searches. I pled the fifth, and
all our computers have AIDS.
They are incurable. Oh, let's see here. It's still.
Is she still single?
I have no interest in finding out, actually.
But Broken could fix her. She hasn't stabbed anyone yet. I'm just saying, let's start with undateable and then move on to felons.
Grant, that was Nicholas's Norwegian fire farting dragon. Apparently, it was an AI attempt to do a swoop, and the dragon, instead of breathing fire, is farting fire, and
No,
that's a swoop.
the basis is a glitch in a computer game from far way back that Matthew himself transformed into a swoop for me. So this is my dragon.
I'm just not sure what they're trying to get at with her speaking about the formations of the different wards and presidents and stakes and bratwursts and all sorts of other things.
Yeah, but let's see if the final 25 minutes brings more interesting stuff.
Wasn't worthy to go to the temple.
Was or was not?
Was not
A what?
worthy to go to the temple.
Stop.
But as far as the priesthood holder,
Hold on.
okay,
The microphones are not so good here.
Okay.
Was he or was he not temple worthy? You're going to tell us about that, and then the priesthood holder. What do you tell us about those?
so I actually remember him talking about, he used to work in the temple, and then I remembered him telling me a story that he was no longer worthy to go through the temple. He didn't tell me why. I didn't ask why. That's private.
He's not temple worthy then.
So yeah, so during that time, I don't think he was temple worthy. And then priesthood holder, I assumed that he was at that time, but I don't know.
All right. And you were talking about the gradation, or what is the most serious of all sins, and murder's at the top is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Along with denying the Holy Ghost, right?
Right.
And then underneath that, you listed some others. What were those?
Sexual immorality, so that would be fornication, adultery.
Well, just so that we're getting get this clear.
Well,
Adultery,
out and out.
What does that
See
refer
y'all
to?
later.
Adultery and fornication. Fornication, I believe it's just
What is their stance on postmarital sex? Because I'm kind of against it too.
oh well.
Mr. Mo hates that joke.
Yeah.
When a husband and wife, if you have a marriage, you have a husband and wife, and one of them
Is she really explaining
sleeps
adultery
with or
for
has
us?
a sexual relationship with someone outside of their marriage.
All right. How is that different from fornication?
Fornication, as far as I understand, is with a single person, so somebody who's not married.
I need I need hand puppets, and I need us to tell where, like, on the doll it hurt
It's
her.
the same thing, only it's sort of a, if you will, a
One's married, one's not.
classification.
Right.
If they are against divorce, that might
And in terms
explain all the
of
dead
the
bodies.
sinfulness of the person, does it matter that the person who is engaging in fornication is a woman? In other words, is it lesser for a woman to engage in fornication than it is for a guy?
No.
So it's the same sort of sin, right?
Yes.
Let me ask you the situation you were asked about reporting and that sort of thing. What if a person is engaging in fornication? Whether they be, let's just say it's female, and that person does not self-report.
Well, but we
Is
heard
that
from
in
Travis
itself a
that it's
sin?
not fornication if you do other stuff. Isn't he a priest
How
or
about
something?
if a
Doesn't he
person
know
is having
this?
sex with somebody and they're single?
He's not a priest. He's just making up excuses.
And
Well, I
this
know that.
person
I'm just saying.
continually has sex, but does not self-report, doesn't go to the bishop and say, I'm having sex and I'm not married. Is that also a sin, the failure to report?
It's
They're mandated reporters now?
It's just not repenting of that sin. You're continuing on with the sin. Yeah. So
In this gradation of sins that we've talked about, the murder and the denial of the Holy Ghost, and then you told us where fornication and adultery came in. How about lying? Is that a sin?
Objection, beyond scope of
No, I just thought of maybe why there's no audio for this because she was getting all
And
flushed,
that's part of this list that you were talking to the defense attorney about?
or rather, no
Yes.
video.
In terms of
She had to go report this right
this
after.
issue involving
Just
whether or
talking
not
about it
somebody's
is
being
then-
hurt and reporting it, is the only recourse if somebody's being hurt to report it to
Bye,
the bishop,
Franz,
or is
don't
there a
lie.
different
I've tried that
recourse?
4
Can a person
times.
report it to somebody else, for example, law enforcement?
You can tell anybody you want to what your sin. Yes, but in order to become clean again, you have to tell your bishop. You have to confess the sin.
And this trip to Cancun that you talked to the defense attorney about, you at first told him you didn't want to go, right?
I told him that I wanted to think about it, told him that I would go. Then a couple of weeks beforehand, I told him he should take someone else.
A couple of weeks beforehand, you told him he should take somebody else a couple of weeks before the trip, right?
Correct.
And did he agree to take somebody else?
He did not. There wasn't anyone else he wanted to take.
And these conversations took place at what month and what year?
May 2008.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Does any member
All
of
right,
the jury have a
everything.
question for this witness?
Oh, the jury has questions in this
Oh,
trial.
jury question.
Oh my God.
Please step down. Counsel, please approach.
How often are they asking questions? That would be amazing.
I need
In
to
the
know.
appropriate situation. The jury can ask questions, Nicholas.
Oh,
Yeah, they didn't have any questions for this witness, but the jury can ask questions. So I'm really excited to
I
hear
have a
what
couple
questions they may have for
questions.
Jodi. Yeah.
How many cats does this woman have?
She seems like she's extremely boring and very reserved.
Does
but
she
that's,
dress
of course,
them
the
up?
persona that she's putting on the stand.
Hey, everyone has a
I want-
question.
The jury.
I want-
Okay, see, Farrell, you're
City College
spoiling it
witness.
for us.
Oh.
Oh, something Williams. I missed that, but that's okay. We'll get it again.
Hey, no, I have 5 cats, 6 children, 1 husband sometimes. I have no no hate for the cat.
Yeah, they should never allow Baker to sit on a jury and ask questions.
They should never
Oh.
allow me on a jury.
Can you spell your first and last name, please? Okay. Raise
What
your
did
right
it
hand.
say?
You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I was going to try to pause it. I couldn't. S-T-E-R
You may.
Starow Williams? Something like that. I didn't get the whole spelling of the first name. It was
This is
something-
like the
Right hand. You
Keyshawn
do
thing from
solemnly swear the
yesterday. Like
testimony
we
you're
don't
about to give will be the truth.
Anybody get it in chat? Something Williams. Sterile? Steel? I didn't catch it.
Can you spell your first and last name, please?
Sterling Williams.
Raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you.
You may.
The coffee didn't agree with the whiskey, so I am switching to Diet Coke because I'm not giving up whiskey.
Sterling Williams. I wonder what this gentleman has to say. Well, that's not what he looks like, I imagine. Let me see if I can find Sterling Williams.
Is he the roommate? Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Are we gonna ask him why he didn't smell a dead body?
Oh,
Elmo, like that.
he's a police officer.
Oh,
Your name, sir?
Sterling
Is there?
Williams,
I didn't know there was a diet Dr.
Mesa
Pepper.
Police.
We only have Dr. Pepper here in
I'm a
Sweden.
patrol officer,
How long have you been with the city of Mesa Police Department?
approximately 6 years.
And what is it that you do as a patrol officer?
Respond to calls for service as put in by the public, patrol neighborhoods in my assigned area.
Not this
You ride
one.
with one person
Not this
or
one.
do you go by yourself?
It varies. I generally ride by myself though.
Did you have occasion to be on duty back on June 9th of 2008?
Yes, sir.
And did you
Nick,
have occasion to
I
be on duty sometime after 9:30
sent you a
p.m.?
DM on
Yes,
Twitter.
sir.
Did you have occasion to respond to an address on Queensboro?
Yes.
What was that address?
11428 East Queensboro Avenue.
And is that in Mesa, Maricopa County, Arizona?
Yes.
And that residence, describe it for me. Is it an apartment? Is it a trailer? Is it a house? What is it?
It's a house. Single
And-
occupancy.
What time did you respond there?
Or you can also show my screen.
Okay, but do we still hear the testimony?
Yeah, I
You
don't
hear the
know.
test-
Maybe if you just download it and post it that way, it's like an overlay. You should be no. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm going back to this.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I have to do technical stuff, and then we will be here for the rest of the evening without hearing anything. So I'll keep with this.
And did you speak to anybody when you got there?
Not initially.
What did you do when you got there?
I arrived shortly after fire personnel. They had already been directed to the upstairs master bedroom. So I proceeded to follow them inside.
And when you followed them inside, are you talking about the bathroom?
Inside of the residence through front door.
Maybe he
Did you
transitioned.
where did you go once you were inside?
Once we went inside, we went directly to the
Nicholas,
stairs.
I think I have video. I'm going to
Took the
send you a
stairs
link.
up to the top, and there's
Okay.
a set of double doors at the top of the stairs to
Let's
the left.
stop this.
I just DM'd you a link on Twitter. I don't know at what timestamp we have this particular witness, but I'm sure we can figure it out.
Can you spell your first and last name, please?
Oh, that wasn't even the right guy. Okay. Go to 1 hour and 15 minutes. We're doing it live. And I think Farrell sent that to me on Facebook. So thank you for that. But I had looked for videos whenever at all possible. I just wasn't able to find this one.
Okay.
Well, this is where he starts.
Okay, raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
You may.
Oh,
Your name, sir?
my
Sterling Williams,
And who do you work for?
Mesa Police.
What do you do for?
I'm a patrol officer,
How long have you been with the city of Mesa Police Department?
approximately 6 years.
And what is it that?
Holy cow, what SPF does he have to use?
Respond to calls for service as put in by the public, patrol neighborhoods in my assigned area.
Do you ride with one person or do you go by yourself?
It varies. I generally ride by myself though.
Did you have occasion to be on duty back on June 9th of 2008?
Yes, sir.
And did you have occasion to be on duty sometime after 9:30 p.m.?
Yes, sir.
Did you have occasion to respond to an address on Queensboro?
Yes.
What was that address?
11428 East Queensboro Avenue.
And is that in Mesa, Maricopa County, Arizona?
Yes.
And that residence, describe it for me. Is it an apartment? Is it a trailer? Is it a house? What is it?
It's a house. Single
And-
occupancy.
What time did you respond there?
I got dispatched at 10:30 p.m. I arrived on scene at 10:36 p.m.
apparently,
And did you speak to anybody when you got there?
thing 10 years ago.
Not initially.
His
What did you
wife
do when you
made a
got there?
bad choice with
I
that tie
arrived
and
shortly
shirt. When
after
she
fire
steamed it,
personnel.
he's going to wear
They had
it.
already been directed to the upstairs master
How's
bedroom.
my audio, by the way?
So I
Because this is
proceeded
really
to
loud
follow
in my
them
ear.
inside.
And when you
Sounds good to
followed
me.
them inside, are you talking about the bathroom?
Inside of the residence through front door.
I lowered
Did you
that
go,
video.
where did you go once you were inside?
Once we went inside, we went directly to the stairs, took the stairs up to the top, and there was a set of double doors at the top of the stairs to the left, which was the entrance to the master bedroom suite. We went in through the open door in there, and fire personnel went in to find the body.
And I
Did
adjusted
you actually see the
our
fire
lights as
department
well.
work on this individual or not?
They didn't work on him, no.
They looked at him and what
They
happened?
visually inspected him and were able to declare him deceased at that point.
What were you able to see?
As far as the body,
Yes, sir.
it appeared to me that he'd been deceased in that position for quite some time.
Anything unusual about the body that called your attention to it?
Other than the neck wound, he had appeared to be dried blood on his neck, appeared to be a neck wound from ear to ear. His face was dark purple, almost black. The rest of his body was a very pale white, and he was kind of crammed in the bottom of a shower stall.
Anything unusual about one of the cuts? Anything that caught your attention?
The cut on the throat was, it had dried blood around the outside edges. It was still moist on the inside. And at the top portion where the wound was up near his ear, the way he was crouched down, it appeared there was gas escaping the body. Every few seconds it would bubble.
And was the bubble red in color?
No, reddish, but not entirely.
It looks like he has a wedding ring.
That's a description of every man. Dead or not.
Full of gas creating bubbles.
Please take a look at exhibits numbers 73, 74, and 75. Please take a look at them, see if you recognize what's there.
Yeah,
Yes.
that makes one of us.
This is the body
No,
that I found in the
I love
shower.
cat.
Is it in these photographs true and accurate depictions of the body as it existed back on June 9th of 2008 when you found the body?
Yes.
Move for the admission of exhibits 73 through 75.
Any objection?
Moment, Your Honor.
There's Mr. Green.
Exhibits
shirt, green tie
73,
again.
74, and 75 are admitted.
Could he look more
What are we
bored?
looking at here?
That's the shower stall with the body crammed down on the bottom of it in the master bedroom.
Okay. And exhibit
Okay.
number 74? What are we looking at there?
It's close.
Day one, we're getting into pictures.
Yeah. So a bit of trigger warning. There will be kind of nude and dead in. Yeah.
I mean, if
So,
that wasn't apparent from our trailer,
Yeah.
you know.
But
Or the opening statement where they're like, well, this isn't really a sin, and this is also not really a sin.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely some bad photos in this video.
Yeah. But some people might have joined in without seeing that. Somehow didn't see the thumbnail. Well, the thumbnail doesn't show any interesting parts, but the trailer did show interesting parts. And yeah, most of these pictures are online.
Also, still not as tawdry as the Chad Daybell Mormon autoerotica. So at least you won't be that scarred. I mean, on a scale of like Chad Daybell porn to just normal dead naked people, I mean,
Yeah, but his stuff was cheesy.
I don't know. I'm more skeeved out by his stuff.
No, well, maybe for different reasons.
Yeah, but now you've had a warning just after you saw the first picture, but now you know there will be nudity, there will be nude dead people, there will be blood, and
If you need a
more
palate
than once
cleanser,
more than once I might utter the word asshole, and either it is
it's a
an
warning.
insult or it is a description. So Just saying. So you're all prepared.
As long as we get to hear the phone relations, I'll be okay.
Oh,
So I feel like people are more freaked out by seeing the murdered person, the dead body, over the other explicit videos or photos we'll see.
yeah. So, but now you know.
Above shot of the body, same body.
And exhibit number 75.
It's a close-up shot of the neck wound that I saw. That was-
You indicated something about gases and items coming out. Does this show that area?
Yes,
If you take your
Where?
hand down, you're gonna have
right
to
at
have
the
real
end of the
tears,
wound near
lady.
the ear, where you can see the small specks of blood and substance. It was bubbling and splattering as it would bubble.
Other than that area that we just saw, the neck area, did you see any other areas that had blood on it?
Just his chest. I didn't examine the body very much after that.
Did you have occasion to look elsewhere, or was it the extent of what you looked at?
I did look briefly around the remainder of the
Does she
bathroom while I
peek?
was in there, yes.
And
Well,
what
she's
is it
kind
that
of
you
doing one of
saw
these
in the
things.
I noticed
But she
the
realizes-
blood
She parts her fingers and
splattering
looks
the
up.
sink.
Well,
on
she
the
realizes
countertop.
if she
I
takes
also
her hand
noticed
down,
some-
you have to actually see
there was a linen
tears.
closet directly
Remember, her
across from
attorney
the
said-
walk-in closet. The door
We
was
admit-
closed and it looked.
We admit that Jodi killed him. So that's admitted, but she's offering an excuse that would justify it.
Can we just
So-
let chick in the blue sweatshirt that looks like she wants to cut at Jodi
That's
just
the
at her?
victim's. Yeah, that's the victim's sister.
I know, and
she-
I'm okay with her just going in and raining vengeance.
Yeah. And the lady in the back seems like she's holding in a barf.
Well,
Well, I thought you were talking about the one with the dark hair who looks dead herself.
Looked like there was some dried blood possibly under the door.
Yeah, but is this covered by linoleum or is this carpeted?
This was a tile area.
The tile area, so was it the carpet of the closet?
No.
No. How did you actually walk in there? Did you walk in?
With your feet.
As I entered the room, I noticed.
that would be my
large amounts of
answer
blood on
as
the
a
carpet.
witness,
It
which is why
transitioned
no
between
one
the
should
tile
call me.
And the carpet from the master bedroom.
So that would be,
There
you
was
took
a-
an immediate right.
Yes, there was a hallway leading off to the bathroom where the shower stall was. That was all covered in blood. I noticed large amounts of blood pooling and smears. There was a walk-in closet that paralleled that hallway, with doors on both ends. That closet was clean. It was actually immaculately clean. There was
And the
nothing in
carpet
there.
in the closet, was there any blood in that carpet?
No,
And that's the one that's directly next to the shower area then?
yes,
And so did you notice any blood in that closet?
no, I did not.
When you said it was immaculately clean, what do you mean?
Everything was very neatly in order. All the shoes were well placed. Clothes were hung up nicely. It just appeared very clean.
Did you take a look at the bedroom area?
Yes,
And did you see any blood there?
yes, I'm right at the entryway to the hallway leading to the bathroom.
So that's again, sort of that border between the hallway and the carpet.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Short and simple.
Your Honor, we have no questions for Officer Williams.
Okay.
Does any member of the jury have a question for this witness? I see no
What
hands. Please
SPF
step
do you
down.
have to use
All right,
in
ladies and gentlemen, we are
Arizona?
going to take the evening recess at this time. Please be back in the designated area at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Please remember.
Yeah, we don't need to hear that.
Yeah. That's the end of day one.
End of day one. And yeah, we heard the defense opening blaming Travis for being a player, more or less. Almost abusive.
Farrell is saying on my Discord, she's uploading some Travis photos if you want to see
And that's
them.
why I have
We
to go
do-
immediately to my phone.
I will say that in our Discord, we do have a section that's like explicit stuff.
Yes.
So if you want to see some of the, actually, I don't know if the Jodi Arias video ended up in the explicit section. I think it did. But then there's also those kind of things. So if you don't want to go there, it's kind of clearly labeled. But yeah, so they'll be in there. So Farrell's posting those. And if you are a new member, check out the Discord. There's a lot of fun stuff, including like dead body photos. But no, we have other stuff. We do some trial streams, and there's other things that's going on in there.
No, I don't have a Discord. I have a Facebook page. You can find, if you search for Niklas Starow Trial Watch, you will find it. But when it comes to Discord and stuff like that, I simply don't have the time. I have the farm to run, and then I have my work to do, and then the YouTuber things. I simply don't have the time to set anything like that up. Now, if someone would do it for me, I wouldn't complain.
I have to give props to Jung Min, Shelly, who'd set up all of my Discord for me. I didn't do it. I'm just playing in there now and adding stuff. But so thank you to that. And then Farrell has been contributing a lot in Discord as well. So it's thanks to the members of my chat that I have a Discord. But yes, it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, you need somebody like that to do it for you, Nicholas. Anyone?
Yeah.
Mo can do it for you. She's got time.
Yeah.
Nicholas
Mo
made
is-
me a mod for some reason. I can barely type.
Yeah. Mo is known for her technical excellence.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, my husband, I am renting this new setup from my husband because I have full knowledge that he wanted this setup. So I'm planning on getting a laptop later.
Guessing I missed everything again. Angel, Australia. Well, yes, you missed the rest of day one. We just finished it up. Sorry if you're joining us. It looks like you're joining us on Nicholas's stream.
Yeah.
But you could go back and rewatch. And we also have day one, part one, which we streamed on Tuesday. And we're going to be doing this every Tuesday and Saturday. And that's 6 p.m. Swedish time, noon Eastern time. So whatever time that is in Australia, if it's noon Eastern time, it's probably 2 a.m. your time, I guess. Something like that if you're actually in Australia.
Yeah, it's really in the middle of the night in Australia and New Zealand and those countries and Korea. I don't know the time. I don't know the time zones at that end of the world. But it's
all
tomorrow.
I know is that Korea is essentially 11 hours or 12 hours away, right? Essentially, or it's 11 hours depending on the daylight savings time and everything. So we'll go with 11 hours. So right now, it should be, I think, about 4 a.m. in Korea, which is fairly close to Australia. So I imagine it's around that time in Australia.
Angel Australia says it's 5 a.m. now in Australia. So
okay, 5 a.m. now in Australia. So yeah, unfortunately, you're going to have to start streaming around 3 a.m. to start watching this live on Tuesdays and Saturdays, which would be Wednesdays and Sundays for you.
Yeah. So depending on time zone, we will stream Tuesdays and Saturdays. But if you are 6 hours before Sweden,
No, they'd be ahead.
Ahead of me, and then it will be Wednesdays and Sundays. We are streaming really early in the morning.
I just wish time was the same everywhere. It would make this whole YouTube thing so much easier.
Yes.
Are you promoting the flat Earth theory that the time is equal everywhere?
It would just make things easier, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Australia, though, wouldn't exist, so we might have to deal with that.
Yeah. Australia doesn't exist. Horses are fruit. And yeah. Well, you didn't know that horses are fruit. Wait a minute.
Wait, Australia wouldn't exist. Horses are fruit?
No, this is a Swedish.
Is it a Swedish phrase? It sounds so much better in the Swedish language, I'm sure.
Hold on. I will share. See, horses are fruit.
Okay, then.
You know, that's
Definitely looks like a
oddly more
Swedish thing.
phallic than anything we've seen today.
She's
We're
riding
getting
that
to those
banana.
pictures.
Yeah.
Mo's just here for the pictures.
That's all comic relief.
Yeah. So just as you know, this was a thing back in 2013, actually, back about 10 years ago. There was this web page on Swedish Facebook page that just started going full on horses are fruit, and there are pictures, and sadly that Facebook page was later on just pirated, and now it's just some dude posting weird stuff on it. But if you go back 10 years on,
That's 90%
horses,
of the internet.
well, yeah.
I think Farrell is asking for a closer picture of your banana, Nick.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I love how the chat's like, so what is your new setup? And I'm like, it lights up. It says Alienware on the side. I don't know, people. It lights up and it does spinny things.
Your husband just ordered stuff for you, right?
My husband, okay, this is how things go. My husband orders stuff for me, but he's the one that uses the computer. So eventually I'll probably move back to a laptop. And I'm okay with that because I was only semi-fluent in the laptop. So now he's like, oh, you can change colors and you can have, I'm like, no.
Oh, see, Gigi's jumping on board. So everyone wants a closer picture
Of my
Um,
of the banana or of the computer.
Nicholas's banana. Yeah.
Oh.
No.
No. You got a stream starting in 50 minutes, right? Oh, oh no.
Yeah.
I keep getting the time wrong. It's 4:30 your time, our time.
Yeah, 4:30. So thereabouts, yeah. We will be method acting. I have my what I would assume Sarah Boone would drink from her cup.
Absolutely, she would. Absolutely.
And listen, y'all, I love you and I would do just about anything for you, but I'm gonna wear a bra because that's her.
Is this
you
like
know?
Is this like an endeavor to find? Okay, I don't get it, but it's awesome. It looks cool.
So, is this what happens when you stay in the sauna too long? I have many questions. Because I feel like we need Hallmark cards with this.
Can we recap what we learned today at Jodi Arias though?
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to figure out. No. I'm just trying to figure out of what we saw.
So didn't we start?
I thought
with
the defense was gonna go with like somebody was saying ninjas. He was attacked by somebody else. She didn't know what was going on because that was her earlier story. But they came right out of the gate saying, "Yep, she did it. We're admitting that she did it, and we're going to tell you why she did it." So I thought that was interesting. I didn't realize that was her defense. I thought it was a whole, I don't know, I wasn't there. But yeah, and then there was a lot of sex talk in the Mormon community.
I need this as my screensaver for reasons.
Is that Lord of the Rings?
Yes. Gandalf has never looked so majestic.
So I was trying to be the adult in the room and bring it back around to the topic of the stream, and here we go with Mo and Nick.
We need our own Rumble. So
yes, we learned about Nicholas's banana today. tweeting.
So in the
differently.
defense, I guess if you're going to push, she was afraid of him. Do you need to pull the whole Letitia Stalk, like 3 kinds of dying? Like she bludgeoned him, necklaced him, and shot him. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. The 3 kinds of dying thing is weird. We will see what I guess what they come out with during the evidence. I'm trying to figure out a time. I would really like to rewatch the Lifetime movie because I think it goes through the trial, and I kind of want to do it before we get too far into the trial to know how accurate it was. I think I'm going to try to do this rewatch of the Lifetime movie sooner rather than later, but maybe I'll have a better idea of some of this. What exactly the defense is going forward, because right now I'm very unclear other than she had reasons.
well, that and what they say was the, abuse was, he was mean to her and called her a woman of viable affections.
Can you send me that one? Can you send me that one? I want that one.
I was trying to be good.
I'm having way too much fun with it.
Now I have to go to Sweden for reasons.
Yes. And I'm going to pronounce your name wrong every time. Toy La Carroza. Yes, there actually is a Lifetime movie, and we are going to stream it in my Discord, but I'm not sure when. But we will do that at some point, and I'll make an announcement. So since you are a new member, go to my membership tab and join our Discord, and then you can get access to that. Yes, collectively, you guys all have, this humor. And there's nothing wrong with that.
All right, no more saunas for any of you. I don't know if that's the reason. We need 12 more adults to adult us.
I'm screenshotting all of these. Damn it! Now give me a recap. Well, Travis's ex-girlfriend, or not ex-girlfriend, that's kind of weird. He went on a date with this girl he met in the Mormon church after Jodi, but before he was murdered, obviously. A couple of dates. He did not make any attempt to kiss her. The Kiwi horse. She went on another date with somebody else who didn't attempt to kiss her. But she ended up finding his dead body, essentially. So they were friends, kind of, and she wanted to keep it in the friendship community, and he wanted to make it more serious, but it didn't go that far. So I guess saying girlfriend is probably too much. But she ended up finding his dead body in the house 5 days after he essentially disappeared, and she didn't hear from him. And then we had the first officer essentially to arrive that took some pictures of Travis's dead body, or at least testified to pictures if he didn't take them, as to the condition that he found it in. That's as far as we got after the defense's opening statement. So day one in its total was state's opening statement, defense opening statement, and the first 2 witnesses, the Mormon girlfriend/friend and the police detective, or police officer rather. So that's the recap. We didn't get a lot of anything other than the Mormons really don't like premarital sex, and nobody knew what was going on between these two, Travis and Jodi. So there's your
If you
recap.
want people to not know what's going on, you do not take photos of it.
Well, no, that was for their own personal thing. That's
what happens at fornication club stays at fornication club. You do not take pictures. That's how you get set up for, was it recompense or reconciliation and repentance?
We're talking about this serious case, and Nicholas is just going through pictures of fruit horses in the background.
So when Dave tells his wife what we've been doing, he's like, "No, it was super serial. We were doing log tubey stuff. And then she rewatches the stream and she says, "Banana horses?"
She doesn't watch my streams though, so we're good. She just watches Emily Baker if she watches anybody. She never watches my stuff, so I'm in the clear.
And I'm just sad because I made a commitment to finish the mom and pot Joel Guy Jr. trial, and we have this other trial that's turning into like a flaming train over a dumpster of like nuclear waste.
What are you talking about?
Like,
Sarah
the
Boone?
ex-NFL. No, the
Oh, the
ex-NFL.
ex-NFL player. Yeah, no, I gotta get to that. Oh my God, that's amazing. I gotta start streaming that more and get caught up.
I know. I'm like, I don't want to deal with the mom and pot anymore. I want to go to Super Dumpster Fire.
Yeah, so if you guys are watching me on Nicholas's channel and you're interested in this crazy case out of Florida that's going on right now, this ex-NFL player who's being charged with murder, and every witness doesn't want to be there and is a bad actor and is insane as all hell, jump over to mine and subscribe, and then you'll get notification when we do that, which will be later today at some point.
Yep. And I'm still waiting for the Andrew Tate case to develop into either a trial or if it just fizzles out. I'm not sure because he is now in house arrest. But it's coming up to the point where the prosecution has to actually bring the formal charges. But well,
Are we coming up to the 30-day renewal, or
yeah,
is it
the
90
30-day
day?
renewal should be in the next couple of days, and then I believe it is at Jesus Christ, cat. At the latest, the 6-month period should end June 30th. But they have to announce it a bit they have to announce it beforehand. So yeah, and then they will bring the formal charges. Then they have to set a trial date. So it will be, but that after that it will just go real quickly to trial. They will not stream that trial, but the transcripts will be out fairly soon after, so I can do something with those.
Do they do a jury trial, or is it like a tribunal?
It's tribunal. In the lower courts now, it will be in Romania. In the lower courts, it will be either 1 or 3 judges in a tribunal court. And that will be announced at the same time as the prosecution brings forward the final charges. So that is what I am waiting for, but I will also find a very short and interesting trial to stream on the days we don't do this Jodi Arias stuff. So I'll be...
Where are those?
Yeah, there's a few weird trials out there going on right now, and my schedule does not make it easy for me to stream something right now. But if you want to maybe partner up on this ex-NFL player, we can try to maybe do some tag teaming if you're interested. But I still got to kind of work out a schedule.
Yeah,
and then we have a Lifetime movie and Rumble too. We got to do that too.
Yeah, I have
not Rumble. Oh, we could do it on Rumble.
Yeah, I have a Rumble account, but I don't have a Rumble channel, so I have to fix that.
Same. I have to figure out how to.
Yeah, and I'm looking at what Law and Seaward. No, they have the NFL murder trial and a few sentencing I can cover. Ice Cream Man double murder sentencing.
You should rewatch the Ice Cream Man murder because I hear that's kind of a BS charge and conviction too, a lot like Anderson.
Okay.
I mean, you shouldn't. I'm not saying you should. I'm saying if you're looking for something, that might be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Jodi Arias has prison art.
I'm ordering it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but what I did find is that I missed out on the Alan Brown sentencing, so I will definitely stream that. Might do it tomorrow or Monday. That will be interesting, because when I covered that, I did find something in a still photo, because the defense in that trial just went walkover and said, yeah, convict him, more or less, because it was appalling. And I did find a still photo that if I was the defense, I would have argued the living crap out of that still photo that shows he might not have actually shot the dog.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I forgot about that case. Hey, if you want to share the screen, I found her prison art.
Oh my God.
This is Jodi Arias' prison art.
Feet
Anyone's interested.
photos? Why?
Feet photos.
This is all Jodi Arias. Well, I mean, it's been 10 years. She's got nothing
Oh my
but
God,
time,
we need
right?
the exclusive 24 collectible photographs.
I'm getting this one.
Why? Why?
I need a part 2 of that.
Why
You
is she?
need the backside of it? You want the backside of that photo?
I want what's her name?
This seems appropriate.
Sharon. Yeah.
40 damn bucks? Does she not
I'd pay
realize
it.
there's a recession on?
Wait, hang on. Is there? I'm getting this one.
How much does she owe the victims?
Yeah, right. Overseas shipping, $20. So $48, you could get one, Nicholas.
Yeah, fuck no.
I'd rather get John Wayne Gacy's clown photos if I want something creepy and scary. And if they're not done on velvet, they don't count.
Oh, I just didn't see this. So this is a woman in a guy's arms.
Before she stabs him?
Yeah, that's an interesting position.
All right.
Okay, but the way he stood, he's not standing the way you would have to hold even a little weight.
No.
They're both going down.
Well, she's little. Remember, she's like 5'2", 115 pounds.
Oh, well, there we go. Physics is
So there's Jodi's art.
Discrimination.
Jesus Christ.
Not even he can help this. This is something completely different.
Yeah, but either way, Alan Brown, I will set up a stream for tomorrow for his sentencing. That was on Thursday, I see. And yeah.
All right.
That's it for me. Then I will search for interesting stuff for next week. Next week is a difficult week for me because I'm being told there will be late evenings with preparations. But this trial is still on Tuesday. I will see if I can make it. Either way, it will be dual streamed.
Yeah.
And maybe someone can fill in for me if I can't make it.
School has started or school has finished, and I have gotten the youngest, most feral art set. So he seems to want to at least stay seated still for a little bit.
If not, I'm sure Jamie can jump in, or I could just fly solo. But either way, we're going to bring a stream every Tuesday and every Saturday. There will be a stream. Whether Nicholas, myself, or anyone else is doing it, there will be a stream. So subscribe to both of our channels and click the little bell notification so you get the notifications 3 hours after they start, of course.
Yeah.
But at least there's a hope that you get notification ahead of time.
Yeah, and subscribe to Mo, and so
Yes.
she gets her numbers up.
I am doing.
Somebody please think of the children.
I know the palate cleanser that you all have been waiting for. The Mom's Head and Pot, Joel Guy Jr. retrospective. He is deeply unsettling, but I managed to roast the hell out of him, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to enjoy the family in the cottage for a bit before I do anything else.
Yeah, and not in a Mormon kind of way.
Yes, not in a Mormon kind of way.
Special underpants and all.
Let me say that. I'm going to enjoy my holiday up here. I'm just going to say that. And
Yeah.
I will, but I'll see you guys all later at some point today. And then tomorrow, and then Monday, and then Tuesday again. So you guys will see me every day.
Yeah. And go to Mo, go to David, subscribe to me, find me on Twitter. It's you just search for my name. And so I have a personal Facebook page which I won't befriend, but I have this professional that is Niklas Starow's Trial Watch that you can search for and follow me there.
And if you have no family and you want to stay inside because you're Claire like me, I'm getting ready to do a stream where I will be drinking boxed wine and reading Sarah Boone's novels worth of letters and trying to get through that sober-ish.
Those will be fun. You have them all, right? I don't need to send you a link. Farrell's got them. Okay.
All 700 of what?
Okay.
This woman.
You got. I just wanted to make sure I didn't need to send you anything. So
no, Farrell is awesome, and she put them all in the stream, and I could click on them because those are my skills.
Yeah. So so I will see you, all of you, and either the chat or our followers and everything. I'll see you for this trial on Tuesday, and with that.
You muted yourself.